How's it going, everyone? And welcome to another episode of No Excuses with your favorite show hosts, Aristil.
Arian.
And Russell, and we are all here at the last minute because Aristotle just got power back to bring you the latest in the video games industry, or rather, this time more sort of like what they want to present the future as being like, as
The
opposed
Jeff
to what
Keighley
it's.
vision of the video game industry.
I'm pretty sure that the only vision Jeff Keighley is interested in is positioned immediately behind um
Kojima.
the Metal Gear guy. What's his
Yeah.
name?
Or
Kojima.
Yeah,
underneath
that's all
him.
he's interested in. He doesn't really care so long as he's involved.
It was a bit blatant this year, yes. Even by his usual standards. Doing a couple of trials in the Genshins to unlock get some primos. So yeah, this week none of us really have much of a week.
No, it was not the best time for me this week. Lots of things went wrong. I mean, they usually do the week after we have a public holiday. Like things going pear-shaped is pretty standard. But
Yep.
it was particularly bad this time. Most of our customers decided they just weren't interested in doing any work this week until Friday. Yeah.
Yeah. So let's just push all our work elsewhere.
Oh, it's multiplayer, so we gotta teleport away and come back, because I'm not looting that one.
Right.
Why is Toma on the banner, and who cares about Toma? Nobody cares about Toma.
Well, if you want off-field fire application and for some reason you're not interested in using Pyro Traveler or
Bennett.
don't have
Or
Mafika or nobody
Zhangli.
not using Bennett would be very understandable.
Yeah, true.
Well, the thing is, Toma and Shangling usually appear together if Toma's going to be used, so I presume it's about how much energy do you want.
Yeah. Well, the trial for Kinich is both Zhangling and Toma on the team.
Toma doesn't. I don't really feel Toma contributes very much though.
No, he really doesn't.
He might have something that resembles Pyro application, but it's just, it's so bad.
Yeah, and also Collet is there for some reason.
Oh, the Dendro resonance boost.
Yeah, that's it. That's all she does. So anyway, do I have enough primos to spin on getting a second Kinich? I do.
You sure must like Kanich.
I do like Kinich. He's a lot of fun to play.
He's sus.
And now he has voice work again.
Oh, I guess I don't know what he sounds like in English.
Yeah.
But in Japanese, he is Sasuke.
He literally is. That's kind of where the English voice actors kind of going as well. Oh, why?
It was 50-50.
No, I'm not at the 50-50 chance, but I shouldn't have badmouthed Toma.
Oh, yeah, he's gonna show up.
Because I just pulled Toma. Get out of here, Toma.
Like, you will see some very, very old guides that found reasons to include him for Pyro application, and that's about it.
Yeah. I've still got plenty of pulls. I might do another pull later. So anyway, my week, as far as everything goes, is basically I ended up running the whole business solo for half of it, and
That sounds like fun.
yeah, time is a thing that you just say goodbye to, as is sleep in a lot of ways. So yeah, not good. Especially when you've got a Maine Coon kitten running around who decides that he's going to play for at just 4 a.m. Anyway, so yeah, as far as the games industry this week happened is, the Jeff Keighley show, and Ari, you had some opossum trouble.
All right, so this technically falls under week,
We
I
should wait
guess.
to talk about that one. Yeah.
So, the opossum got. This kind of spins into a broader topic we could get into, but I'll foreshadow it now. The opossum decided he was going to get a Switch 2. Wanted one.
Not because there's anything he wanted to play on it.
Well, he wanted
Just because it was shiny.
it was new, shiny, and he wanted to play Mario Kart with his kid, and he wanted to play the old NES classics on there. Okay,
You can do that on the regular.
whatever, dude. That's fine. So he doesn't pre-order the thing, goes off, and the thing did not sell enough for it to sell out in either Best Buy or Target because they only allowed one purchase per customer in both stores. So he went to Best Buy and Target to get one for himself and one for my cousin, who's not in town at the moment, and that's why he can't buy one himself. So cousin's gonna pay him back when he gets back, but he went out and bought himself a Switch. You don't. When I say I have opossum trouble, this is the kind of thing I mean. I'll be working.
This is not a truck this time.
At least it's not a truck that used the company card this time. This was his personal funds.
Yes.
But I'll be working. I'll be on. Just got off the phone with a customer. I'll be trying to put together some submittal data or something. And I'll hear, "Hey, Brian, come help me with..." Oh, what now? And it goes like that every time. And this time it was all, he didn't know how to set up a flippin' Nintendo Switch Online account. And he didn't know how to hook it up to his TV.
Fair, I wouldn't know how to set one up either, because Nintendo account servicing is almost as bad as Final Fantasy 14.
Yeah. So I helped him get that set up, and helped him hook it up to his TV, and helped him get online, and helped him connect his controllers to it.
Also, he can race as a cow.
He raced as a Yoshi, actually.
Took the vanilla option.
Yeah, so, Yoshi's okay. I'll give him a pass for Yoshi.
Yoshi's okay. I don't mind Yoshi.
Well, in 64, Yoshi was like basically the best.
In Mario Kart 8, Yoshi is also the best.
Yeah, in currently, because we're still in new Mario Kart land where nobody knows how to make use of high handling stats. Speed stat is king, so cow is the best.
Cow was the best anyway, because cow. So, yeah. As far as the Switch 2 goes so far, I've not heard last time there's been big console releases, there's always a big buzz around them. Good and bad.
Yeah.
But this time around, it's just kind of like, eh.
It really surprised me that even with the lack of hype around the Switch 2 compared to other console launches, he was still able to walk into both Best Buy and Target and buy one.
Yeah, you can't do that in Australia. They are sold out here, but yeah, that's practically unheard of, especially for a Nintendo console.
Yeah, it should be raising some red flags for Nintendo, unless they just overproduce this thing so hard that the stores just had that many laying around, and they're getting a new batch in a week.
What's the killer app?
Mario Kart. That's
Kart.
it.
It's their only app.
Yeah,
Mario Kart's not a killer app. Like, Mario Kart is like getting Alex the Kid on your Master System too. It's like it's on every single one.
Mario Kart's the game you use to back up your killer app.
Yes.
Yeah, that's like the potatoes, the mashed potatoes.
I mean, I like mashed potatoes.
Donkey Kong doesn't come out for a couple of weeks.
Well, I'm not knocking mashed potatoes. I'm just saying that they're just mashed potatoes, man.
Yeah.
I want to see if there's any in stock in New Zealand.
Yeah, mashed potatoes are there to serve to enhance everything else, but on their own they're kind of blah. But yeah, I'm sure when Dustblood's coming out. Let me see.
I don't even think it has a release date yet.
Probably doesn't. Duskbloods.
And
goodness,
it's the second experiment by the B team. So
yeah, and I think a lot of what's happened in Night Rain is going to be used for Duskbloods.
Well, Night Rain has been.
Yeah, okay. It just says next year.
Yeah, so
it's a year off.
So Fern, you missed our entire discussion about Night Rain, and how the just mind-blowingly baffling decision it is that you can't do OQ it.
Okay.
You are forced if you queue with 2 people to play with a rando. You cannot duo queue. And if you solo queue, you have to take 2 dumb AIs.
That's even dumber.
They hard lock this game to 3 players.
But like I said, that these are typical restrictions that you find in a project that's been rushed to release. The thing is that I don't know exactly why. Like there's a. It's one thing. Oh well, this is the incubator team, right? They're just supposed to take an idea and run with it. The game is basically an asset flip, and that's all well and good. But that doesn't mean you necessarily have to deliver a like minimum viable product.
Yeah,
No,
I don't.
you don't.
I get that you're making the game on the cheap and you're selling it for cheaper with the B team and reused assets, but I don't know why you wouldn't just give them a few more months to cook. It's not like you had to rush unless you don't have anything lined up in the current windows for this year. Like, you could have just given them time to sit there and make it good.
Yeah, I love you, FromSoft, but yeah, why?
Yeah,
So
so
retarded.
it's entirely possible too. This could have been a Bamco thing.
Could have been a Bamco thing, or they just really want to test that new netcode.
Yeah. By all accounts, they found a better balance than they have in the past. Now, this is not saying much, and the only praise I found for it is this: that it is better than it has been in Elden Ring and the other Souls games.
That's not a hard bar to fight.
Yeah, that is, you can walk a straight line. You don't even have to jump that hurdle.
Yep. So yeah,
But yeah, there's that. I did play some Mario Kart World.
it's Mario Kart.
Body the Opossum. It feels good. Feels like a fun Mario Kart game, but it's Mario Kart.
Yeah, like
Has it-
everything I've seen about it, it's
I-
like
I
this
have-
is
I've
just Mario Kart.
I haven't played a Mario Kart game since 64. Has anything substantively changed?
They've
Substantively,
added a
really?
whole. They always shuffle the mechanics around a little bit. They try to keep the number of mechanics simple because they try to keep it playable and like with the joystick, the triggers, the accelerator, and the brake.
Yeah.
They don't want to
So even
overcomplicate.
though your car is changing to underworld mode or anti-gravity mode, the controls are still the same, and the vehicle still handles
Yeah,
more or less the same.
like in 8, they had you bump into players and that would give you a minor speed boost and stuff when you were in the anti-grav mode and stuff.
Yeah, you just drive up on walls and drive on F-Zero tracks.
And they had
there
the
is actually an F-Zero track in the expansions.
Yeah, and they had like the fully customizable carts, and 8 was another gimmick. You could adjust the glider, the wheels, and the frame of the car for weird
Yep.
wombo combos. And
Of which most were viable. There's some that were just dreadful.
yeah, and then
But you could usually pick which part was going to be awful just by looking at it.
yeah, so this one has removed the cart customization in favor of just stock carts. I didn't like the customization anyway, so I didn't care.
Yeah, it was interesting for a minute, but once you figured out like this is my preferred cart, you kind of stuck with that.
Once you know the range for every stat you're aiming for what's comfortable and fun for you, the parts stop mattering.
Yeah, you just pick the same ones over and over.
We're not playing Armored Core here. We're playing Mario Kart.
Yeah.
And so now they've gone back to just a ginormous list of pre-built carts.
I have to ask, actually, one of the big criticisms that's also out of the demo, that character list. Did they fix it?
Oh, the UI for it?
Yeah.
No, it's still atrocious.
So, yeah, the demo was, like, every time you unlocked a new costume for a character, it would go onto the character list as a separate entry.
Yep. And the only thing you
And
can
it
do to
still
fix
does
it
that.
is to press the sort button so at least all of the characters' costumes line up next to each other. There is
Why?
there is no difference in stats between regular Rosalina and Space Dress Rosalina, but you know, gotta have their
Yeah,
own
but
entry on the character select screen.
we had that figured out in 8. Like, you could change the color of your Yoshis, you could change Link's costume, Village's costume, Inkling's costumes. There you go. Any other character that had multiple costumes, you just press the button once for the character and then again for the costume.
Yeah. Not sure why we forgot how to do this, but that character select screen is atrocious.
I think someone at Nintendo got visited by the good idea fairy.
Yeah. Or they just
They wanted to make their roster as big as possible.
yeah, somebody wanted to pad the roster.
Yeah.
And counted each separate costume as its own character. Uh,
Yeah, like Mario World Tour, the gacha game does the same thing uh, as the new Mario Kart, but it's a gacha.
hmm So that brings to another point of how did you unlock costumes on characters if you only played a couple rounds with the opossum after 5 o'clock on like Wednesday or Thursday, whenever it was. Because there's a built-in gotcha in the game. It's not totally random. I think it's dependent on which food you eat, but there'll be little like convenience store doggy bags uh, with smiley faces on them laying around that when you pick them up, depending on what map you pick them up on and which one and where you're at on that map, you'll get a food item, and this acts as a little speed boost. They have varying degrees and intensities, up to level 1, 2, or 3. But regardless of which level you get the food will be of one type, and if that type is applicable to your character to apply to a bonus costume, you will just unlock that bonus costume. So this is how
Yeah.
I got best Rosalina, and figured out real quick that something that red flagged me immediately in this game is the heavy characters are gonna last a lot longer than they usually do as top tiers whenever a new kart racer comes out, because there's a lot of straightaways in these tracks.
Oh yeah,
Sometimes,
especially
sometimes they finish out like that though.
Yeah,
Like I know, particularly in the older kart games, usually the heavies would float to the top once the game was basically solved.
yeah.
yeah. It goes through it seems to go through a curve with a lot of them. You start with the heavies as top tier because nobody knows how to utilize the high handling characters to make use of the shortcuts properly and take better advantage of that. And then as time goes on and you get people that are just playing it to speedrun it now, it goes back to the heavies who just find ways to do the crap the high handling characters can do anyway. And then eventually the tryhards pick up on it, and it's just the heavies all day, every day. And
Yeah.
Rosalina is fattest princess, so I smoked him and everybody else in that race.
Yes, tallness apparently equals fatness in Mario Kart.
She is the fattest princess.
So yeah, she's in the same weight class as Bowser, for example.
She's one step below Bowser. Bowser has his own dedicated weight class, I found out. The special
Okay,
He has the special Bowser weight class. She's in the same weight class as Cow.
that's a very mean thing to say. Anywho, so yeah, we'll probably talk about the Switch 2 more as time goes on.
But
But
yeah,
so far, it's been not great,
yeah.
kind of meh.
Zip through the experience of Mario Kart World, because I'm not going to remember what the heck happened if we delay it. Super fast.
Yep.
There are a few major new mechanics they added that are fun to play with, but again, it's just Mario Kart. Um, the first one is rail grinding, where if your cart or bike rolls up onto a rail that has a slope, so you can just drive onto it, you can grind on the rail and do tricks off of it. And if you do a trick off the end, you get a big speed boost. If you do a trick off the side of it, you get a small speed boost. And you can jump between rails with tricks to keep minor speed boosts going if there are multiple rails. That's fun and fairly intuitive to use. The one that's not so intuitive to use that I could not figure out in the brief time I had playing was the new charge hop, where you press and hold the drift button while the stick is in a neutral position, and it will slow your cart down slightly. And you got to keep the accelerator held the whole time too. And it will build up the little sparks under your wheels, like you're doing a drift turbo, like every Mario Kart since 64.
Yep.
And instead, when you let go, it'll pop you up in the air. Not very high, but high enough to get up on some ledges, and lighter characters can bounce higher. So Fattest Princess cannot get on very many. Probably why I couldn't figure out how to use the dumb thing. And it does not seem to slow you down very much, but you definitely don't want to keep it held down the whole race. Also, when you do this hop, or when you jump off of any ledge for that matter, if you angle your cart so that you're going to drive into a wall, you'll just start driving on the wall, and this is faster than driving on the ground. And you can do tricks off of the wall. to get speed boosts. You can't drive for very long on the wall, but you can drive on any wall. Okay, Vol's got all his
Majoozles.
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 I need to farm. Heck is that? That one. Hang on, I'm looking for a domain in Genshin. It's the one with the skill. What you call it? That one.
They put in categories now, though.
They did, but I'm so used to looking on the map. So you need the Fontaine skill damage set too, right?
The which?
What's the one that Farina uses? Golden Troop, I think.
Oh right, I have a grudge against Golden Troop at this point.
That's okay. It has not been particularly nice to me either, but maybe if we join it together, we'll confuse the luck sensor.
I've literally gotten thousands of those pieces, so I'm basically tired of spending resin on them. I'm giving it a miss, but I'll help you farm it.
Yeah, because I'm using the it'll work tier right now.
All right.
So that's all I've got for my experience with Mario Kart World. The free roam mode looked like it would be fun for an afternoon or two. It doesn't look like it has a whole lot of content in it.
Yeah, once you found everything, you're kind of done with it.
Yeah, like you farm all the costumes by finding some food of a specific type laying around, and you do all the Grand Prix to unlock all the characters, and that's about it. That's your longevity for your killer app on the Switch 2.
Yeah.
Oh, my jellyfish.
Right. Anything else before? Oh, we should do the email before we do the Jeff Keighley show stuff.
Right, Fern. So you're the indie game guy, and you know more about the Toby Fox stuff than either of us do. So this one's probably on you.
Yeah, where did I put that? Got to find which tab I have it on because I've got too many tabs open. And here it is.
Why are these guys Usia aligned? I can't stun them with Navia.
Because my experience is that nearly everything in the game is Usia aligned at all times.
All right. So it comes from our good buddy Cerathus, and he says, "Dear No Excuses." So I was going to write about Hoyo stuff, however, you may have noticed a short outage of Steam on the 4th. Apparently because Deltarune Chapter 3 and 4 released. I did not actually notice that. But yeah, I can believe
I noticed because Cerathus was talking about
it.
I saw the banner when I opened Steam one day, and that's about as far as I processed it and forgot about it.
Yep. Alright, where was I? While I know you guys are not too fond of the Earthbound-inspired, quirky 16-bit JRPG about mental illness subgenre, that is a mouthful, and also a subgenre, yes. It seems that the sad is not at play here, and all the gay stuff is also vastly toned down. On the surface, you go on some wacky adventures with things getting serious by the end. This to all the usual funny dialogue, diegetic battles, bonus points for the "you're taking too long, boss." Great music, some subverted expectations in ways that don't seem to be preachy, going for a laugh instead, and mostly importantly, no 4-year wait time for the next installment. That is, if you don't go for the secret stuff. The secret boss in Chapter 4 is a fluke, since finding is super basic and seemingly has no meta-narrative connotations. It's still a lot of fun to fight, but compared to the side quest required to merely unlock the Chapter 3 secret boss, it's kind of disappointing. But it's nothing compared to the alternative route of the game. A scene had to be toned down in a hotfix because the symbology was a bit too close to you raping one of your characters. Toby, what are you doing? What? It is now more clear that you are merely mind-raped her. Just because you can. Yeah, talk about a moon shift. So yeah, more Hoyo stuff next week from Cerathus. P.S. The third secret stuff does seem to explore some kind of past event that seems to be traumatizing. Okay.
So there's some cool music and fan stuff that's come out of like Toby Fox's junk, but I just can't pay attention to any of it because it's just so corroded by the woke.
That's the big thing about what was it, Undertale and I suppose Deltarune as well. I've played both Undertale and the first bits of Deltarune and thoroughly enjoyed them. They were very silly. Yeah, there was a few little bits and pieces in there, but by and large, they're played for laughs. Like there's a gay couple in Undertale, but they're so absolutely goober you can't really take anything they do seriously.
I don't know. The scenes I saw of it played it pretty hard preachy. Like we're taking these idiots on a date, and they can be as silly as they want to be. It's still pushing the gay
Yeah.
stoppo agenda pretty hard.
It's not as bad or as on the nose as it has become. Honestly, today it is very, very tame by the modern standard.
Well, as long as they're not literally waving their genitals around in public, that's more tame than usual. It's like the guest book in
It's more tame
Grand
than in
Blue.
real life.
Yeah.
In real life,
Yeah.
they actually do that.
Yeah,
They
like,
actually do that.
It's like Vol sent me a picture from the guest book in Grand Blue, and I'm like, you have no idea how tame that is.
Yeah, well, the thing is
Yeah.
that it's one thing to find things that are not tame when you're looking in the guest book. It's quite another when you have no connection to the guest book whatsoever, and you still end up seeing it.
Yeah.
If you want the
where was
nightmares,
I?
go look up SQ and the Grand Blue Fantasy versus guest book. You will hate yourself.
No. So yeah, Earthbound. Oh, not Earthbound. What am I saying? It's not that I don't like the commentary about mental illness in games. It's just that it's so very, very rarely done well.
I
don't know what done well would even look like.
That's how rare it is.
Yeah, we've crossed to a point with indie games where and with real life in general and the way people behave and treat mental illness as a crutch for their own bad decisions and behavior, that I just don't honestly believe 99.9 repeating percent of quote unquote mental illness cases are legitimate.
Everything these days, everything is a mental illness except being a tranny. Being a tranny is the one thing that is not a mental illness.
Yeah. So, yeah, like, where was I? Deltarune I found very fun, the first half. I don't know what the next two bits are going to be about. And so, yeah, I just blew through them in a couple of days, and yeah, that was fun. Silly
Honestly,
writing.
I can't imagine playing it myself. Like, occasionally I'm content to watch somebody else play it, like a streamer or like one of the Hololivers or something, but that's because I'm not watching it for the game's content itself. I'm watching it for that person's reactions. And
watching Fauna just go on random tangents about who knows what.
She does like to yap.
She does. Well, she's not Fauna anymore, but you know what I mean.
But I feel like I'm a little bit past the point where the sort of like corrosively millennial post ironic writing is really what I'm after. Like, it's a bit. I don't know. I can tell that there's more sincerity in Toby Fox's work than there is in Andrew Hussey's work, but I don't think it is by very much.
They did hang out a fair bit back in the day. I don't know if they still do or not.
Didn't they live in each other? Or didn't one of them live in the other's basement?
Yeah, actually, I think Toby Fox lived in Andrew Hussey's basement for a bit. But yeah, the thing with these two games is not the games themselves are the problem, I find, but the absolutely corrosive community around them.
Yeah.
That's what really turns me off them.
You know how much we complain about the Genshin fan base and its proclivities? Like,
or the tism?
Well, no, just you go on. Well, yes, but
there are other proclivities as well.
Yes.
If you go on Hoyo Lab, like every other random post it pulls from the community is my gay character tier list and which male characters I would want to bang me.
You might want to put some filters on those, Hoyo. Children look at this stuff.
They're incredibly they are proud of being, as they call it, gooners.
Yeah.
And I don't really understand being proud of being that degree of socially dysfunctional. Like, I am that degree of socially dysfunctional, except that, for me it's not directed like that, but I don't feel the need to try and inflict my own personal problems on other people
Yeah,
in order to try and justify that they are not in fact problems or something like that.
yeah. So honestly, yeah, don't engage with the Toby Fox fandoms.
Yeah,
Just don't.
they're even worse than the Hoyoverse fandom is what we're getting at here.
Oh yeah,
Like,
Well,
basically
I think
any first party produced animation on YouTube, like Hell of a Boss and stuff like that. Instant terrible community.
I think that in in the case of Hoyo, it's that most of the fans in the Hoyo community have sort of accepted that this is a consumption product that they're participating in. Whereas in a lot of those other types of communities, like the Hell of a Boss community, like the Undertale or Deltarune communities, they are still deluding themselves that there's something noble about their enthusiasm. That it's not just consumption based, it's not just gratification based, it's actually there's something deep here, but the only thing that's deep is their dysfunction.
Yeah. Why can't we just sit back and go, skeleton with catchy theme song like spaghetti?
Because
About
really
as
that's all that there actually is to it.
yeah, that's all that is to it. But yeah, when people start reading too much into things or start forming their own meta narratives out of who knows where, it's when things get messy.
Now, given this observation, you need to keep in mind that all of the liberal arts educators in the public education system are all basically aged out Undertale fans.
That's a terrifying thought.
And that's why the world is in such a terrible state.
So yeah, bring it back to the email. Thank you for that, Seraphis. I do intend on checking out Deltarune at some point because I did enjoy the first half. I've been deliberately steering as wide of that community as it possibly can because obviously. So yeah, no spoilers. Do I actually have it on Steam or do I have it on the Switch? I think I've had it on the Switch. Yeah, I also didn't do the bonus bosses because I know one of the bonus bosses is in the second chapter is you're basically fighting the spam folder. As in literally a character that is the personification of the spam folder.
Is it all in Indian and broken English with terrible links?
Yes. He's become kind of the meme character of Deltarune. Whereas my personal favorite meme character is the Queen instead, because holy crap, everything that comes out of her mouth is gold.
Actually, the Indian spammers have gotten more scary for the old people with their use of AI, and that they can actually use it to type in proper English now.
Yeah, or they're taking it even further step. They're making phone calls with them, the AIs as well, the synthetic voices.
So that they won't get given away by, do not redeem! Why did you redeem?
Yeah. Honestly, I will never get tired of watching videos where people screw with the scammers.
They are incredibly entertaining.
They are. So yeah, thank you very much for the email, Serathis. Yeah, I might talk about Deltarune again when I get around to playing it.
Yeah, that one I think is going to be all Fern, so...
Yeah, I don't think I ever will. It's just... I don't know. Like I like trashy, overwrought stories, but I like them in a sort of... I like them more sort of like pulp operatic tone rather than the post-ironic tone to my fiction, to my trash. Yep. If I'm going to consume slop, it might as well be slop that's to my taste.
Let's face it, everybody has their own flavor of slop.
Speaking of...
It used to be called a guilty pleasure, but no, it's slop.
Speaking of, before we jump into the Jeff Keighley show, We can't cover any of the massive ZZZ patch that happened in detail, but I do want to give a quick bleep bloop of if you have had problems with combat events in Hoyo games before, they have figured it out with the latest event in ZZZ, the one that you don't have to go to Wi-Fi Peninsula for. You can do it as soon as you boot the game.
And you're just going to leave that low hanging fruit out there without saying anything more about it.
Correct. Because I'm not going to spoil you on what dumb retarded shenanigans the Cunning Hares have gotten themselves into this time.
You can always count on them to end up just shy of being Team Rocket.
The event features heavily your girl Grace.
She's not my girl by choice. I didn't ask her to keep showing up in the gacha.
But she did.
But she do.
Yeah, the main reason we're not talking about it is because I've had almost no time to do anything with it. I pulled on the banner. That was about it.
Honestly, just watching a few minutes of Ari running around with the new systems, it's like, this is what the game should have been from the get-go.
I actually, what I did do when I was playing it was I spent quite a bit of time, like, it was what's the term? Intrusive thought.
Oh no.
That I kept having is, what would this situation look like if it was still Bamboo TV? And how ass would that be?
It'd be awful.
Yes.
I just kept thinking, like, man, I'm enjoying myself, but this would be totally ass if this was Bamboo TV.
Yeah. So also,
and there's sort of an alternate future in which that was the case.
Yeah, if a different group of people had got their mitts on it and not been as willing to listen to everybody, that Bamboo TV is a terrible idea. Also, because of the radical changes to the way the overworld city maps work and combat can now happen in them, and all the new features like the map and stuff, before you even get started with the patch, you're going to want to go and redo your controls.
I'm here to tell you that that's not necessarily true. It did change the controls, yes, it's true. However, all of the controls that they changed meshed exactly with my bindings that I wasn't very happy about but had never bothered to fix.
Oh, yeah.
So now the entire layout is just perfect for me. Absolutely perfect.
Yeah,
all of the things that were unused are now used. All of the things that I had rebound to things in places where I wanted them, but the game didn't quite like. Now the game cooperates with them perfectly. Like, everything is now perfect. I have no complaints. I didn't rebind anything.
I had issues with the dash button binding to R2 for some reason. It didn't like that at first, and then it started liking that. I'm not sure what its dysfunction was, but that seemed to correct itself. So just another heads up. But yes, we'll talk about.
I'm looking forward to spending time playing it. After all, Fufu is adorable.
She does. She does be adorable.
I just wish that that her being most adorable Dorito was the standard position rather than. Well, you could fill in the blank.
But they want to bang the tiger, don't they?
She's definitely the best tiger, but I sat there and watched her entire idle animation as well while I was eating.
Yeah, her tail has that little bow on it and is so thick and wavy, and just swishes back and forth.
The idle animation is of a fixed length and it does have an end, but it's like 4 or 5 minutes long of her sharpening her claws.
I see. Yep. So we'll get into full details next week. That will probably work for gameplay stuff anyway, because I need to build a character from a new class from scratch, and so does Vol.
Yeah. I've got a couple of pieces that are like workable, and as usual, I've got a couple of pieces which are not quite the right slot that I want, but have awesome substats, and it's like, there must be a way. There must be a way I can make use of this one.
I've had terrible rolls with her stuff. I've had to I've got pin ratio on everything.
Yeah, she's a character that's relatively forgiving in terms of gearing, in the sense that, like, for instance, flat HP and attack are of a similar value to her. Like, flat HP is worse, but only by a little bit compared to an equivalent amount of attack, which is unusual that a flat stat is useful. And she can make use of a lot of different stats. The trade-off is, of course, that pen is completely useless. That's just like this is like counterintuitively against your character's structure. You don't want this stat.
Yeah,
This is like the trying to do the low speed build, but you keep rolling speed on your gear.
yeah. At least it's just a dead stat and not a stat that totally makes the piece unusable. But yeah, it's been a mess for me gearing her because I keep getting defense and pen, and I just cannot seem to fish anything useful.
But I'm very happy that there's another character that has the block counter ability that Caesar has, because that means perhaps the next Deadly Assault won't be designed around dodging. Because basically, unless and when it's dodge Deadly Assault, unless you dodge essentially every attack that comes your way, you simply cannot make the threshold. It's not going to happen because there are only so many attacks. Unless you've got a way of preventing the opponent from ever suffering an anomaly so that they don't get interrupted at the wrong time. But because of that, I always have to play very poorly when I'm using my Caesar team, which is very frustrating. Because you really don't want to be wasting Caesar on dodging, because most of her abilities and buffs come out on the basis of using a block, or in some cases using a defensive assist. Dodging is of almost no value to you whatsoever most of the time. But you end up doing it because, well, there's this character who's just plays into the same task that dodging is meant to accomplish, but simply does not work as Deadly Assault. But since Yushin has the same capacity as part of her kit to direct counter rather than simply dodge, although dodging is an important part of her kit as well, since she gets resources from it, unlike most characters, they probably won't want to completely marginalize it going forward, I hope.
That's a lot of damage, Kokomi, for your charged attacks there with Sitlolly here.
That Hydro buff, yo.
I popped Kokomi's ultimate. We were playing DPS Kokomi for a little bit. I was hitting 14k charge attacks.
All right. So with all of that, we'll dive into ZZZ more next week. I'm gonna try and play a bit.
I would
find time.
definitely
There's
try.
just one last thing that I want to mention while it's fresh, and not about ZZZ,
Okay.
about another topic. Ari and I tried Gormagala last week, immediately after the show.
All right. We had to use
You
potions.
had to actually play the game.
We did not merely have to use potions, as in more than one potion.
We had to go restock.
You had to go restock like twice.
Most of that was I had like 60 something items used, and I think 40 of them were nullberries.
I think it was 59 items or something like that.
Yeah, it was some nutso number. Most of it was nullberries, but at least like 25 of them were potions.
He is an Angie boy. They made, according to the breakdowns I've seen after the fact, they made Gormagala significantly stronger than every other monster in the game, including the other monsters of his same tier. They made the others distinctly more powerful, but Gormagala they made very much more powerful in that basically you have a margin of one minor mistake that you can make without getting carted.
Yeah.
If you make 2 mistakes in a row, you die. End of story.
So I mentioned something that I really, really liked about the fight right after we did it, and to Fern before the show. And that because the mechanics are lethal again, because you did not have to give a crap about damage before Gore, I actually had to stop and learn positioning in safe spots again. You know, the whole point of the dual blade weapon.
Yeah, by the end of the more than half an hour we spent trying to fight him, by the end of that, I was distinctly better at perfect blocking than I was at the start of the fight.
Yeah, like I had to sit there and figure out which attacks had safe spots and which ones I could get part or a full demon dance off of, and figure out where that was and how to be there after he does an attack. He's still a spazzy little boy that I wound up chasing around the arena half the time and just chewing on nullberries trying to catch him. But
According to the data mine, they have given him more HP
then
than
Zoshia,
in World Fatalis in World.
Oh
yeah,
my.
he has a lot of HP. Our For Gormagala, our uptime was not bad, and he took 30-something minutes to kill.
Jeez. He's a chonky boy.
I had a great time. I thought that it was a really, really fun fight. I had way more fun fighting that Gormagala than any other fight in the game, I think. Just in terms of sheer, I actually feel like I'm genuinely interacting with this and like it could go either way for us.
Yeah, like, I actually have to stop and figure out what the boss does. I can't just, kind of throw out random demon dances and just try and maximize uptime and not care if I get hit, because this is just a speed farming simulator like it was before. Oh, the boss can actually hurt me now.
And I haven't actually seen anybody complain about it either, which is rather surprising. I've only seen
Yes.
people say nice things about it.
Probably because Tempered Gore itself is just an optional challenge you don't have to do for gear progression if you don't want to.
Yeah, and certainly you would never try and farm him if you were looking for parts for your Artian weapons. That would be mad.
But yeah, we did find one and we went and beat it up, and it was a good time.
We'll have to do it again when I can actually get on with you.
Bring potions.
Bring
Like a
the
lot of
potions.
potions.
Yeah, bring the
And
big.
maybe actually use the demon drug.
Yeah, bring the big ones.
The big one, the good stuff.
Yeah, you wanna bring out the good stuff. I was
Like
eating
the
ration. Oh, I didn't mention this. I was eating rations again occasionally
Ah,
to get my stamina back. Because if everything Gore does two-shots you, and you've already taken a hit, and you have no stamina because you just got out of demon mode,
you smushed.
you absolutely have to have that stamina. And eating a ration's faster than eating a potion.
Yeah, there were a lot of moments where I had simply used up all my stamina from blocking, and I was just like running around like a maniac trying to fight, to hopefully juke him by accident, so that I didn't get dive bombed. A few times I had to and managed to successfully perfect block a dive bomb that was coming from off screen while I was facing my character toward the screen to try and intercept it, because I simply didn't have time to turn my camera around.
Wow.
He is an angry boy.
Yeah.
Is
I don't know if
I'd hate
he's.
to see that same level of monster as a Shagura Magala.
I don't think he's actually any faster or anything like that. I think they just stat tuned him. But
They lowered the cooldown between his abilities. He can actually bring his abilities out faster. Like in terms of physical movement, he's not faster, but he doesn't wait anymore between moves.
I see.
Okay, so he just throws one after another.
Yeah.
He's been permitted longer combo chains and lower gaps between his moves. He himself is not actually quicker on his feet or anything like that.
Right.
Yeah, he's just, but just the simple fact you can't stun lock the guy, so you aren't chewing through his whole health bar immediately. He has a ginormous health boost, so that the fight actually has some length to it. And
Yeah, after a while, you're going to more or less stop seeing wounds. Like it will start to become an event when a wound pops up.
yeah, it becomes okay, how much do I think we've hit this thing, and should I go ahead and pop it to maximize it, or just let it pop normally? There's a little bit of decision making there instead of just, oh, wound.
Yeah. You have to do more than the Unga and the Bunga.
Like, do I need juice? Has Vol hit this thing at all? Can I get some demon dance on it before I pop it? Like, these were thoughts that went through my head on Gore that do not go through my head on any other boss that has a wound.
For other monsters, I'm
Bunga.
looking forward to trying out the new spread shot, because I tried it in the training room a little bit, and it is substantially improved over the previous one. The damage has been tuned up slightly, but that's not the big deal. The big deal is that they have reduced the recoil so that the recoil does not knock you back further than the critical distance with a weapon. Which is what the case was before. Is that why you never saw anybody using spread shot? Because one shot would knock you out of critical distance, so you could never fire them more than one shot at a time. Needless to say, that's not great design.
No. All right. Actually, have they announced? I need to quickly look this up. Have they announced what's coming in the next major patch?
I saw some people talking about it, but I don't know if there was actually a live stream. I didn't see anything come out yet. But I don't know what the algorithm's going to feed me at any point in time. Like on the week where Galleon came out, my social media feed was like pure mud mummy.
Yeah.
Like
I was so brainwashed that I almost considered buying the game and the DLC just to try her out, even though it was like the pure effect of the brainwashing of seeing her everywhere.
to be what social media does.
Let's see. The only thing we really know at this point seems to be Laggy is coming.
Yeah, well, we've known that since the last.
We've known about that for a while.
Discussion. Oh, but where does Lagiacrus sit in the power hierarchy though? Because isn't he just basically Rathalos or something? Or is he more like Nergigante? Or
he's the Gen 3 flagship. He's not an Elder Dragon, so yeah, he's probably on par with a Rathalos in terms of when you actually fight him in the game.
I guess they've already thrown power scaling out the window though, because they put Mizu in, and Mizu is like just a fated 4, and I'm not really big potatoes in terms of normal power scaling considerations, and they made it a one-shot monster. So
it made one of its moves that we both swear we perfect blocked a one-shot move.
In fact, it just suddenly becomes Solstice and Mizu halfway through the fight if you break the wrong piece.
I particularly like that dynamism.
I really like that.
I think that is really good.
Yeah.
It's also a piece.
Laggy has a similar sort of thing it can do.
Because of the way Mizu works, you're going to break the head eventually.
Yeah. So I'm interested to see what they do with Laggy, because yeah, Laggy was my first flagship. And everyone's got a soft spot for their first flagship.
Well, what was World's flagship? Because I don't have a soft spot for Rathalos.
I got a soft spot for Nergi.
Well, you just drew a distinction between flagship and Elder Dragon.
World is the first time that I'm aware of that an Elder Dragon is the flagship. So let me think. 1 was Rathalos, 2 I think was Tigrex, 3 is Laggy, 4 was the Rakadios, I think. Then Generations was the Fated 4.
My secret irrational hope is that because of the amount of sort of like ancient civilization ruins and bits and bobs that are just sort of lying around all over the place in Wilds, I want that mecha monster again.
I would love to fight that thing properly again. The Mighty Morphin Praying Mantis. I forget what the thing's actually called, but yeah, it's crazy. When things just randomly pulling Dragonators out of the dirt to fire at you.
Failing that, I would settle for Dalamadur.
I wouldn't say no to Dalamadur.
If they can contrive a way, I don't really care how, just to fight Nergi again, I'd take that.
Well, Nergi goes where there's Elder Dragons to eat, and they haven't introduced any Elder Dragons.
Yeah, once there's Elder Dragons in the game, they'll probably just have, oh, surprise, it's Nergi.
Maybe Nergi chased the one over here.
Most people are putting their money on White Fatalis for this game.
Yeah, or maybe a new variant of Fatalis.
Well, you got the lady face that sings.
I don't think we'll see Guardian Fatalis at least, because depending on how you want to read the lore, it shouldn't be possible, but yeah.
Did you see that snippet that I sent you before the show, Fern?
I believe I did.
I saw an
That back up
interview
again.
about the design process behind
Oh yeah,
behind Crimson Fatalis.
Father, you did this to me. Boom. Huh? So yeah, the designers and the original playtesters getting absolutely bodied in one shot by Crimson Physalis. The fact that the guy who designed the quest also got
It
from
didn't
that
seem to
opening
understand
volley.
what happened.
Yeah. How do you not know? You designed it.
I'll make the
Anyway,
domain
let's
stop
move
being
on.
mean.
You're cashing in every single one of these and you haven't gotten a decent piece.
I got like one feather that has 2 workable substats.
On the upside, at least you can feed them all into the grinder because it's an old set.
That's true. All right.
Yeah.
So, for actual show content this week, we've got the Jeff Keighley shows that me and Vol did not watch.
Yeah, we got.
I thought about watching them this afternoon, but I had no power.
Yeah. So there's the whole Summer Game Fest is spread right out now. The the bloated writhing corpse of E3. At least when E3 was a thing and prominent, everything happened on like 2 or 3 days. And now it's spread out over a week. So half of the stuff that we normally would talk about for these shows hasn't happened yet. So you've got the main show for Summer Game Fest. You've got Sony in the days leading up to it. There's a whole bunch of little panels and side panels like that nobody really gives a toss about. Like nobody wants to really care about like the women-led games or the black-led games or anything like that. We don't really need another panel for those. Nobody cares. Just make a good game. I don't mind the ones where they're split off and saying like here's like Australia, New Zealand, here's Latin America, here's Southeast Asia. That's fine. Anywho, so yeah, the Microsoft one, the Obsidian one is all kind of bundled together. That's happening tomorrow, and which is going to be the other big one. So we'll probably talk about that next week. I also want to watch the Australia New Zealand one because if anywhere is going to put a sneaky Silk Song announcement, it's going to be there.
If that game comes out, I'm not expecting it to be good at this point. And if it's good, I will be pleasantly surprised. But getting my hopes up that it will come out, A, come out, and B, be as good as Hollow Knight is, I think, a pipe dream at this point. I'm not saying it's impossible, but I'm putting it at the less than 1% chance.
Yeah, I don't think that they've just been cooking all this time. I think that they're trying to. I think that there's going to become a point in a project that has become excessively drawn out where you are developing under protest and not because you really want to be there.
Yeah, I'm wondering if there's been a complete restart at some point in there too.
There almost certainly has. All right, that's all the resin I'm spending on that. I'll take a feather and a flower and I'll see if they roll good and put everything else in the mulcher later.
All right, well, let's start with the Sony one because that came out first. For these two, at least, they kept the bollocks to a minimum. It was like just here's a game, move on. The only real cringe was in the Jeff Keighley one where you had one short sketch and the usual slobbering over Kojima. And it was this year is I think even Kojima cringed at it, honestly.
But yeah, bruh, don't you think you're laying it on a little bit thick?
Yeah, just settle down. You've known the guy for years. He's still not going anywhere. Settle down. All right. So Sony, keep in mind a good chunk of the Sony ones are going to be exclusive or at least semi-exclusive. Because, Sony. They started off with Lumen's Arise, and it's a game that I don't even know if it's a game. Ari, this would mean something to you. It was done by the Tetris Effect guys.
Oh, it's an acid trip.
It is a complete trip.
Like, you don't so much play Tetris in Tetris Effect as you look at the pretty colors and try your very best to pretend that you didn't just take digital LSD.
Hold on
Well,
to
I
the
mean,
world so it doesn't fly away.
Lumens traditionally has been an attempt to make a Tetris successor, hasn't it? Like that wasn't that the design brief back in like 2000 when it was made? 25 years ago, a quarter of a century ago in 2000.
I'm just going to go and decompose now. Thank you. So yeah, from the tiny little bit of what I think was gameplay that was showed through all of that assault of color, it's like rhythm-based Tetris, maybe.
Yeah, that's what
I don't know about anything about Lumen. I've heard the
Yeah, that's
name.
2000.
Yeah, I've heard the name, but I've never.
It was I think it might have been a launch title for the PS2.
Well, the Treasure Compass found something, but I think it's
sounds familiar.
underground.
So yeah, I could be wrong that because it was hard to pick out any gameplay or any actual sense out of that sensory overload.
Yeah, the
And that's
Tetris.
how they opened the show.
Yeah, the Tetris Effect guys do one thing very well, and that's make pretty colors make you feel like you're on LSD.
Was
Yeah.
it the PSP launch? Rather, I can't remember. It was either PSP or PS2 launch. I can't remember. When did Lumens come out?
Let's see. Lumens, the original Lumens, 20. I'm still going back. Touch Fusion.
2004.
2004. Yep, there it is. So this is a new Lumens, I guess. Somewhere under all of those pretty colors and thumping music. All right, next game is Pragmata. It's looks like it's a third-person shooter by Capcom. A guy and his tiny little android girl trying to escape a space station.
I see.
There's
Keep
also a
going. I need to
Megaport
go.
because of course there is.
I need to go close the door. I blew it open again.
Yeah. Yeah, we're going to be hearing a lot from Capcom during these two announcements. I didn't actually note all of them, but especially during the Summer Games Fest, there's a bunch of cutaways for Resident Evil where they bring back the woman who played the villain in Village, and she does little promo spots here and there.
You mean the vampire?
Yeah,
The one that everybody was thirsting over for some bizarre reason.
She does a good job of being spooky. I'll give her that. So yeah, Capcom looks like they're on a tear this year, and they've already had Wilds. They didn't announce anything, by the way, for Wilds in the showcase, but
which is what the only reason for anybody to watch a Capcom segment in the Game Awards.
Yes,
Everybody's waiting for that sweet Monster Hunter.
Put it in our face, please. Is there actually? Let me have a quick. I hate the Summer Game Fest website. Why is this the most over-designed crap? Hang on. Okay. No, there is not a standalone Capcom one. There is a standalone IO one, but yeah, we'll come to that later. Let's see. Next game, Romeo is Dead, hacky slashy shooty thing. I'm trying to figure it out because it starts off with a like.
Isn't that a Jet Li movie or something?
I think so. I'm gonna just say what I wrote about the game. It's a hacky slashy shooty thing about a half-dead cyborg FBI agent with a talking back patch. Guess who made this game? It's not a hard guess. It's Suda 5-1.
Oh. I was thinking that.
Because of course
Not
it is.
Nobody will believe me.
So yeah, it is like one of the most Suda 5-1 games, especially when the trailer opened up with what I could swear is freaking rotoscoped animation. Just why? Rotoscope has never looked good.
It's not supposed to look good. It's supposed to look artistic.
Artistic. It looks dreadful. Or if you go by YouTube these days, it looks like memes now. There's a subset of creators on YouTube who just make sketch comedy using it, and it looks dreadful on purpose.
Take your word for it. I don't know anything about YouTube sketch comedy.
Yeah, generally you're not missing much. Next, Silent Hill F. It's the Japanese schoolgirl in the town this time, and there is creepy meat dolls around the place.
They're never going to successfully release another good Silent Hill game.
Well, they've
I
got
feel
one
like
thing going in their part this time around where there is no Pyramid Head for no reason. At least not in the trailer.
Another individual that I do not understand why everybody is lusting over.
Yeah. Besides, he was a thing for a specific character. Why does he keep toning up? That's kind of how Silent Hill works, is it preys on people's hang-ups and stuff.
I don't know anything about
guilty
Silent
pasts.
Hill's lore.
Yeah. That's good because you will get a headache. But the town basically tortures people based on like guilty conscience, past misdeeds, things like that.
Yeah. Oh, speaking of rotoscoping.
Oh.
I can introduce everyone to the Goblin of DJ Max.
Oh no.
The Goblin?
Gotta find it. Don't pay no mind to me. It'll be an after the show thing for y'all. But you want
Right, okay.
You want to see what happens when bad rotoscoping tries to animeify stuff in 2007, and they try to do it digitally back when the tech really ain't there for that. Oh boy.
I dread. I absolute dread. All right, next is a game Ari you might be interested in: Bloodstained: The Scarlet Engagement. It is still totally not Castlevania.
Is it just Bloodstained 2?
Sort of. It's got 8 different playable characters with 2 on the stage at once. Beyond that, it looks like Bloodstained.
Yeah.
And by the looking like Bloodstained, I mean it looks like Castlevania.
Yeah, I mean, I'll take more Bloodstained. The first one had some launch day jank, but they cleaned it up pretty well, and it was fun. Not something I would get super excited for, because unless they're really pushing the envelope here, because it was made by the guy that made Symphony of the Night, so it is derivative of the most stock standard Metroid's Castlevania style.
Yeah, the Vania.
Is he the one that made a promotional clip of himself smashing
with the wine glass
on the ground?
Yeah,
Yeah,
he's a bit of a character. When he got fed up with Capcom, he went and started a Kickstarter for this. And unlike Inafune, he actually made a decent product. Not the best product with his little Kickstarter, but it's workable, perfectly good, serviceable Castlevania style game.
Yep, and it's come a ways since then. Okay, next game, Digimon Story Time Stranger. They showed a bit more gameplay and a bit more story beats this time. There's some sort of time travel plot going on, and you have to keep an egg safe. Gameplay wise, it looks basically the same. Honestly, it's a JRPG, one stock standard JRPG.
Yeah, I mean, I like Cyber Sleuth. I like Hacker's Memory. If we're doing that again,
it still looks like very much the same engine, that to the point where I think you actually do go back to some of the same places again.
Is there a way to get there from above ground?
So yeah, I'm probably going to check that one out at some point, because I did like the first 2. It doesn't look like it's in any way interacting with the story of those 2 though. Like the original 2 kind of overlapped.
Oh yeah, they literally overlapped.
They did overlap.
That was the whole point of Hacker's Memory, was to tell the same story, but from the perspective of an actual character instead of a no-name player protagonist.
Yes.
So that you could actually get a handle on what's going on.
Yeah. Instead of, just the silent nodding goober. All right. So next is Final Fantasy Tactics Evil East Chronicles. It's Final Fantasy Tactics just with a zhuzh.
The zhuzh.
With the zhuzh. It's got full English voice work now, and it's based on what I think is a fan-made translation. Was it the Knight of Lions or something like that fan translation, rather than the official Square Enix one or Enix one?
Oh, yeah. I mean, cool. Uh, I,
So
I
yeah,
I still think Tactics Advance was the most interesting story wise.
yeah. This is Evilise. This is the one before Tactics Advance, I believe.
Tactics Advance was set in not Evilise. It was Evilise, but
In not.
it was also not.
So yeah, they've also gone down the old route of a remaster where you've got the Switch where you can flick back to the original if you want,
I see.
which I don't mind. Next game is a strange one, and I'm not sure why it's here. Baby Steps. That's the game about a guy who really needs to poop.
But
Yeah, he needs to poop, and I think the whole point of the game is just to get to a toilet so he can poop.
uh-huh.
It looks like the height of Gmod level humor.
Well, when you gotta go, you gotta go.
You gotta go.
I mean, when you have an entire generation brain rotted by Skibbity toilet, I guess
Yeah,
that's what you try if you're the money people.
I think this is just someone's stupid side project. But hey, if it's stupid and it works, why not?
Where are you trying to get out of steel?
I'll just send you a picture. It'll be easier.
All right, Hiragami. It's an adventure game, and it's set in a world of origami. That's about all we know about it.
Trying to get there,
Cool.
but the path to it underground is blocked by a big giant rock.
Giant rock? How rude.
Saw a chest in this village that you haven't picked up, by the way. It's at the top near the chief.
I've
Never even been down here before.
I got kidnapped by a Melusine.
Oh, well, I'm not on this
As you
quest,
do.
so I'm not going to get kidnapped. I've never
I
been
did
here.
actually
I don't even know what
start.
this is.
I went and talked to Nouvelet, and he started talking about a giant whale. So yeah, things are about to happen. I don't know why he's talking about a giant whale. He just is. Hang on, Navi is saying, let's go to my father's grave. Father's grave happens to be next to water, so I assume that is where the whale is. I am not going to fight the whale right now. All right, so yeah, Hiragami, we don't know much about that. It's just a game about origami. Everybody's golf, it's everybody's golf. Ninja Gaiden Ragebound. That's the Metroidvania Ninja Gaiden by the Blasphemous guys.
I mean, yeah, they did pretty good with Blasphemous 1. Blasphemous 2 was a little bit too easy to break, but was still fun. Like, yeah, they can make a good vidya.
Yeah, and it's kind of getting Ninja Gaiden back to its 2D platforming roots, so it should be interesting.
Yeah, there was a game that did that. I cannot
There
feel. It was like called The Messenger or something, and it was good, but I do not remember for the life of me. Not have a dire duck and
Yes,
clue.
that's the scene.
Yeah, that particular. The reason I have that particular picture is because it's what people post on Hoyo Lab anytime anybody shows off an account that has one too many constellations on it.
Or about 12
All
too
right.
many.
Yep. So yeah, did you go to Garden Ragebound? I'm interested in this one. I might pick it up at some point.
Yeah, I'll as with most smaller team projects these days, I'm hesitant to get excited for it out the gate. But they have, if it's a known team that has produced something good recently, I'm willing to at least keep it on my radar. There's a chest.
Yep.
I found one.
All right. Next is Can. It's another game about climbing a mountain, which is probably a metaphor for something or other.
Something overcoming my hardship and depression.
Something like that. Yes. Instead of like, oh, we climbed a mountain. Is this a metaphor? Nope, we just climbed a mountain. That would actually be the twist.
Wasn't there a famous person who said something about climbing Everest because it was there?
The first
Or
guy who went up,
something?
I believe, or who
Did
reached the top, I believe.
Edmund
He did it
Hillary?
because it was there. Was it Edmund Hillary who said that? Or was that
I
one of
don't
those
know.
misattributed
He was
quotes?
the first one to climb it. I don't know if he was the one who said that.
Yeah, it probably is misattributed to him. But yeah. Next, Mortal Kombat Legacy Collection with a K, because of course it is. Basically, a whole bunch of the early Mortal Kombat games stuck in a bundle and given online functionality.
Now
Roll
with
back.
noticeably
Echo,
less
by the way.
Wakanda.
Yeah, no Wakanda in these ones. Just, weird motion capture of people in their pajamas.
I'm a little bit appalled at the number of people who think Wakanda is real.
It is depressing, yes. There was a technological superpower in the middle of Africa. Don't you think people would have tried to steal all their technology by now?
Yeah, especially like in Northern Africa is where I used to see Wakanda place. I don't know where they stick it now. And every time I see that, I'm like, you know what happened to North Africa?
Why would you think it was in Northern Africa when everybody in Wakanda is a sub-Saharan African?
Because that has no relation to how the media portrays the melanin content of the skin of people.
Yeah, every time I see someone try to put Wakanda on a map, it just seems to be arbitrarily stuck somewhere on the continent.
Of just like,
Definitely it'll be in the Congo. It'll be in like or Sudan. It'll be in like a really uncivilized place or something.
It'll be anywhere but on the coast.
yeah, I'm like, when them people were still had a bunch of states that were part of the Ottoman Empire, they made a big mistake and they messed with America's boats.
Yeah.
There's one thing you do not do if you are a country that is not the most powerful person on the planet, and that is mess with America's boats.
Don't touch the boats. So yeah, actually the best place I've seen Wakanda on the map is you look at it and you compare it and you just say, that's Egypt.
It was Kangs.
Anyway, where was I? Project Defiant, a fight stick arcade controller. Yeah, okay, I guess. Do we really need a
wonder if
PlayStation fight stick?
Did they consult anybody who actually uses them? This is always the thing with Sony's. Like,
Given it's Sony, probably not. They just did this thing because it seemed like a good idea and the fairies said so. Next game, Metal Gear Delta. It's still Snake Eater. I think they put a release date on it this time, which I did not jot down. Also, for some reason, while you're playing that, you're also playing Ape Escape. So Snake will just find the apes around somewhere. I don't know why this is the thing, but it is. Where was it? Next game, Neo 3. They've been teasing Neo 3 for a while now.
Yeah.
I mean, it looks nice. It looks cool. It looks like Neo. I'll probably never get around to playing it. I'd like to, but I have to play the first two first.
Well, the first one is super isolated from the second. The first character's protagonist makes a cameo as a bonus boss, and that's it.
Okay, well, okay. At least they need to play Neo 2 then.
Maybe. Yeah, I like the Neo games gameplay. I do not like the Neo games inventory management.
Yeah, hopefully they sort that out. They didn't show any footage of that though, so we don't know.
I walk all the way over here, and then that stupid treasure compass. Why you do this? Now I've got to go up.
All right. Next is Thief Legacy of Shadows VR. It's just a port of Legacy of Shadows, which, from memory, that was a while ago, that game, but wasn't particularly great, if I recall.
I do not remember people having glowing things to say about it.
Let's see. Thief Legacy of Shadow. Let's see. What is in the Thief franchise these days?
Pretty sure people only respect the first one.
They did the... Okay, Legacy of Shadow is different. Thief... Yeah, Thief 1 and Thief 2 people respected. Then you had the reboot back in 2014.
You know, a decade ago. Over a decade ago.
Being old again. And has there been anything else since then? The reboot wasn't particularly great. Thief Deadly Shadows is the one I was thinking of, not Legacy of Shadows. Because, they've both got shadows in them. But yeah, that was 2004, that one. So, I don't know. It looked interesting, but...
Only a bit over 2 decades ago.
yeah, Legacy of Shadow looked interesting. It's in VR, so I'm always interested in seeing something new there. But at the same time, it's like Thief had 2 good games, and then it's just kind of been there. Let's see. Tides of Tomorrow. It is a Waterworld looking multiplayer game. Except the mechanic this time is it's very story based. Except you see other people's ghosts running around and doing things ahead of you.
Ooh,
Basically, it's like the white ghosts in Elden Ring on all the time.
I see. That
And
leads
I
into
suppose the red
100%
ones as well.
Gimshin. Hooray.
So yeah, I don't know, they called it a multiplayer game, but the gameplay they showed does not show any multiplayer whatsoever. It shows the ghosts.
Yeah, it's almost they have a bad and I say they, I mean the apparatus of people that are ripping on FromSoft. They love to show their asynchronous multiplayer bits and be like, "Oh yeah, that is totally multiplayer," when it's just you watching the ghost replay mode.
Yeah. Admittedly, watching the ghosts without context can be a lot of fun.
It is, but that's not what I would call multiplayer.
It's not exactly multiplayer, no.
Well, it's not multi and it's not play, so
Exactly. So it doesn't meet either of the criteria. All right, so that's that. They said, let's see, we got Astrobot. There's just more content coming for that for free. Enjoy. Sea of Merchants, or possibly Sea of Remnants. I'm not sure because they said one thing, but the title card said another. Bright,
wait,
colorful,
Sea
silly
of
pirate.
Thieves, but more legit.
Possibly. I mean, it is pirates, and it is bright and colorful and silly, but for some reason everyone's made of wood. I don't know why. Like, everyone's just a wooden puppet. There seems to be absolutely no rhyme or reason behind it. I mean, aside from the wooden puppet thing, which makes no sense, maybe it does in context, I don't know. It looks enjoyable, actually. The problem is there has never been, or it's very hard and very rare to find a good pirate game. And I've been jonesing for a good pirate game for a while. There's plenty of bad ones. And Sea of Thieves kind of scratches the itch a little bit, but it's also like an MMO, kind of. So it's not really what I'm after.
My
Does
sister
anybody
played that
play
for
it?
a while.
Oh yeah, there's still a lot of people who play Sea of Thieves. And they put out the single player mode or the private server mode a while back, and that was incredibly popular. So you can just go in, you can play through the story content and do all of that stuff without being bothered. Just grab your friends if you want, or do it solo, and off you go. And that's, I think, probably the best way for me anyway to enjoy Sea of Thieves. So yeah, I might check out Sea of Merchants if it's not too expensive at some point. Hopefully I get explanation as to why they're wood. Why are they wood? Anyway. Sword of the Sea. I'm just going to come out and call it what it is. It's Journey 2. Except it's nothing but the interesting slidey bits of that game. Who remembers Journey? That was a long time ago. That was PS3 launch?
That was one of the first indie games I felt like I got suckered into playing.
Well,
Is
it
that the
was
one where
just
you
a
sort of run
glorified
around
walking
in the
simulator,
sand for hours?
Yes.
basically. Well, 2 hours. Yeah, for 2 hours. That was it. That was all you got out of it.
Yeah, like that was the last time I let any of the journalists talk me into hyping up a game and going to check it out. It
Yeah.
pretty much marked the distinct end of any kind of artsy fartsy crap that I play just because people say it's something you definitely should play because my reasons.
It was interesting, I suppose, but yeah, it was also online multiplayer, except all you could do to each other was like ping at each other,
Make bird noises.
make bird noises, and go ping. Next is the game that they've really been putting the show together for. One of the games, anyway, is 007 First Light. It's James Bond's origin story, I think, and it's done by IO Interactive, so the Hitmen guys.
Oh boy, the Hitman's.
The Hitmans, and yeah, Agent 47 is also in this game. Just because.
Isn't James Bond sort of like canonically a character from the Cold War?
I mean, yes, which doesn't make a whole lot of sense because this First Light game, the origin of James Bond, is set in modern times. So
But
I don't know.
Isn't it kind of part of his character that he's sort of like a leftover from the Cold War?
And that's why he's dead inside? Yes. So are they going to rewrite that somehow?
Doesn't that make him like 60 years old? How can he be 60 years old as their origin story?
Oh, he's a Time Lord. He's been reset a couple of times. It's fine.
From what I understand, being a Time Lord means you end up black and gay.
Yeah, not so much anymore. That's apparently had an axe put through it.
I heard they just straight up canceled the whole show.
Yeah. No one was watching it, and even the woke people are saying it is too woke. So yeah, I mean, the Hitman formula, or at least the Hitman engine, I think could probably work pretty well for a Bond game. We'll see. Could be interesting.
Provided that he is focused on doing secret agent stuff.
Instead of, well, there's going to be a few car chases. There's got to be.
Instead of the game being all Sean Connery stuff.
Instead of all Sean Connery stuff. Or GoldenEye, where it was just straight up an FPS. GoldenEye was good, but it wasn't really Bond.
You could play it like a Bond story.
You could.
Like if you like, there were a ton of optional objectives, and most of the time the optional objectives would require you to be exceptionally sneaky, and this was before anybody had invented any of the stealth game conceits that are typically viewed as being sneaky. So you didn't have much help. You had to actually hide.
Yeah.
I mostly just remember it for the multiplayer for the 007 on the N64.
Yeah. There was another one which I think was, geez, was it Quantum of Solace or something like that? Got a tie-in game somewhere along the way, and that wasn't very good. Actually, I don't really care too much at all, really, for the modern Bond game. Well, modern Bond at all, really.
Oh, you mean you don't care for Shaniqua being James Bond?
No, thank you. It's just, it kind of lacks a lot when he's not pulling out like ultra futuristic gadgets. It's like, oh, okay, it's a mobile phone, but
they're phrasing, because there's too many jokes there.
Leave it alone. It's like, yeah, that's not weird and wacky gadgetry or spy stuff. It's just, yeah, we're going to punch this guy, and we've got a mobile phone that does everything for us. All right, next game, and second to last, is Ghost of Yo-Yo 2, which they didn't show a whole lot of. There is a dog with particularly bad dental hygiene who seems to be playable.
I see.
That's about the extent of the trailer.
Seems underwhelming.
Yeah. And the final game on Sony was Marvel Token Fighting Souls. Token. It's a arc and a anime fighter. So it's basically Marvel in the BlazBlue engine.
Oh,
there you go.
So Arc System Works.
This is why I keep seeing all of these memes about Capcom being cucked.
Yes. Because their announcement on the fighting game scheme was...
we got somebody else to do it?
More or less, yes. So yeah, that one it looks so completely ridiculous and over the top. I might check it out at some point, like way down the line. Fighting games aren't really my big thing, though.
I really am gonna have trouble getting into another fighting game after Grand Blue that doesn't have something comparable to Grand Blue's simple control scheme because
Yep.
it just makes that game so much fun.
Yeah, I don't like the finger spaghetti that games like especially the early Mortal Kombat's had you do for your inputs.
Yeah, well, it's not even if the motion's simple, like a simple Hadouken or a simple Dragon Punch. Just the ability to use simple controls to ensure the move will come out every time, so you can skip the entire part in your brain. That is like, okay, did I do the timing on the motion right? Did I do the motion right? Is the move even going to come out when I want it to? You just push button.
Is my joystick just refusing to register for because reasons?
Am I playing on pad? And all of a sudden, from PS4 pads onward, we have a unified D-pad that makes all these inputs way harder than they should be. Like,
Yes.
you don't have to worry about that crap. You can go straight to the decision making part of the game. That's the actual fun part of the game.
Yeah. It's like, I want to do a Hadouken, I'll do a Hadouken.
Hopefully, they don't do another
So,
Bastion Light.
the big gimmick, aside from having Marvel characters in the BlazBlue engine, is it's 4v4 tag team. I can't words. That I'm not sure. Like 3v3 seems fine, but 4v4 might be taking things a bit too far.
Well, if one is just a support character, they've done that before.
Yeah. But it looks like all four can be swapped onto the field.
Yeah, not sure how they're gonna make that work.
Yeah. Like they've got to have some shared health bar or something, maybe, because otherwise the fights might just take too long.
Yeah, Marvel was interesting with 3, and especially fun to watch with 3 because of the relative low health of all the characters, and how
Yep.
anybody that stuck their toe too far out of line would just get bodied. It was quickly, once you got okay at the game, not fun to play if you were in the one of the worst mid skill level experiences I've ever played through. But it it was interesting to watch. At least with 4 players, it's kind of hard to keep it in your head what the iconic teams will be. Like, what
Yeah.
are what are going to be the teams to beat? What are the rogue teams that people are using? What characters can they use to solve this problem? If it's because
Yeah.
once you get up to 4, the synergies kind of become hard to keep track of in your head. 3's already pushing it.
Yeah, it'll probably, I think the meta will probably come down to 3 characters plus 1 more flavor. And that's where the metas will stop.
There'll be meta, and there'll be the counter meta backup that everybody's trying to counter the other person's counter meta backup.
Yeah, and that'll be your 4th character in there. Unless you want to get really sweaty.
FGC doesn't have any people who don't want to be sweaty.
That's true. They're all sweat lords.
Yeah, once
It's
you
just buckets everywhere.
once you reach FGC tier, they're all turbo autists that are going to. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, so that's it for Sony, and it was like so a couple of interesting things in there and a couple of weird things, but nothing offensively bad. All right, should we just charge on with the next bit, or do you want to take a break first? Because the Jeff Keighley one is like twice the size.
Yeah, we can go to a break. Let me run this Sealy into its.
We're not at Jeff Keighley yet.
Yep.
Let me just.
I'm surprised that he can stay away from the camera this long.
Thankfully, he wasn't on the stage for most of it, which is nice. Thankfully,
No cringe Muppet skit.
there was Muppets, but we'll get to that because it's not how you might expect them to be.
How did he schmooze himself up to the Sesame Street with the Muppets?
To
Sesame
Disney,
Street
more
work
point.
now.
I guess so.
Yes. Well, but Sesame Street has always been kind of over that side of the fence.
Still at 99%. All right. I'm going to put up the break screen, folks, and we will be right back. And we're back.
Yes, we are. So let's just jump straight into this, and I am always put off about how weird the knave's eyes look. Why are they just X's? That's weird. Anyway. So the Jeff Keighley show, the main event of the Summer Game Fest, or the Sun Controller tent, for some reason their website lists it as why. Jeff Keighley, your website is terrible. Fix it. Anywho, anything else before we jump into this, or shall we just get on with it? Get into the cringe.
Hunting treasure chests.
All right. So it starts off, Jeff Keighley's up on stage doing his waffling, and he does a top 10 sellers for Steam, which I found more particularly interesting right from the get-go. Aside from one, these are all out in any random order. So the games he listed as the top 10, and these aren't by SteamDB, because SteamDB gets all their information by skimming accounts. So it's not 100% accurate. Because things like hidden accounts, private accounts, stuff like that don't register on it. But anyway, top 10 sellers are Repo, Monster Hunter Wilds, Schedule 1, The Oblivion Remaster, Kingdom Come 2, Expedition 33, Split Fiction, Inzoi, Civ 7, Night Rain. That's missing a few big titles on there. Ones that you would expect to be there, but they're not.
From this year?
Yeah. Like, there's no Assassin's Creed.
Oh, one's the writ large world would expect to be there. Okay.
Well, no, ones that you would expect to be there given what you know about Jeff Keighley.
Well, that too. So, yeah, there's no Assassin's Creed. There's no Dragon Age, because Dragon Age, if they did it properly anyway, would have been a guarantee for the top 10 sellers. But they didn't do it properly. They did it crappily.
Did it gaily.
Yeah, too. Of these, the number one seller was Repo, which is that silly little trash can robot game.
I didn't even know this game.
Yeah, I don't.
That's the one that's popped up on your Steam list. It had the mutant smiley emoji as the icon for the longest time, or as their splash image.
I don't think it ever recommended this to me.
It would have popped up at some point in most people's Steam. They actually changed that image maybe a month ago because it was turning people off and really didn't represent what the game was actually about. So yeah, I'm glad to see Monster Hunter Wilds up there, and I'm not surprised at all to see Oblivion, Kingdom Come, or Expedition 33 up there. Inzoi, I'm kind of surprised. Maybe there's more The Sims refugees than I thought there would be. And Night Rain's a little surprising because it only came out last week.
That doesn't surprise me.
It's got a lot of chatter and it's got FromSoft's name behind it.
Yeah,
and it is just more Elden Ring.
Yeah, Elden Ring was such a big splashdown in the gaming scene that anything that has its name tied to it gonna sell at least a bit.
Yeah. So yeah, he goes on to slobber on Claire Obscura for a little bit, as he probably should, because that game is great. And then we get into the show, because, yeah. Right, starts off with Mortal Shell. It's another one of these indie studios that split from the AAA space. It's grimdark mutant slaying with spectacle kill cams. It also kind of builds on a returning theme where it's like Gothic / Victorian architecture with meat on it as their theme. That happens a lot in this one. Yeah. Like, I guess it was good enough for Bloodborne and Devil May Cry in some places, I guess. It's good enough for everyone else. So, yeah. Next, Fortnite. I just zoomed straight past that because Fortnite. Death Stranding 2. This is Keighley slobbering over Kojima's shoes. It was disturbing. And in typical Kojima / Death Stranding fashion, I have absolutely no idea what was going on and what this game is about. Like
Were
the
there
first
babies
game,
again?
no babies in this trailer.
Weird.
The first game, like you had all that weirdness with the babies and the shadow monsters and all of that, but it ended up being a game about a postman.
Supposedly, those actually do play a part in the game somewhere.
Yeah, somewhere. But good luck figuring it out. So this is basically a guy who goes to a therapy session. It skips a therapy session, and then it turns out the therapist is someone who he thought had been was dead from his childhood.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to make for an unsuccessful therapy session.
Yeah. Well, actually, they get through the therapy session completely because it goes kind of boop and thank you for coming, and then all of that happens. Anyway, Chronicles Medieval, which is hard to describe again. It looks like it's like an RPG in the vein of Kingdom Come, except you're leading big armies from the front.
Mm-hmm.
Again, no gameplay. It's a recurring theme here.
This is always the thing with the Jeff Keighley show is, that might be interesting. How's it play?
It might be. Yeah, what do you actually do? Because like the only time it shows actual gameplay is like the end of the intro cutscene type deal, where it takes off the borders of the thing to show you your UI, and that's it.
We're no longer in letterbox format. It's serious business time.
It's serious. It's time for you to actually do something after we showed all this stuff about, big armies and kings getting decapitated and all this stuff. So, I mean, it might be fun. Might not. No idea.
Yeah. Anything with no gameplay that's new, just like,
All right. You're telling an interesting story, and I am not adverse to watching monarchs get decapitated in interesting ways.
I'm going to steal all your stone blooms.
go for it.
Yes. All right. Anyway, next Sonic Racing Cross Worlds. It's the next Sonic Racing game. I have a soft spot for these games.
The Sonic Racing games.
The Sonic Racing games because they're dumb.
The last one had Danica Patrick in it.
Yes, it actually also had the Yogs cast in it because why?
This is why we can't
in
have
this
nice
case,
things.
Their crossovers are fairly tame. They've got all the Sonic characters, so you can play as Big the Cat if you so want. It's also got Hatsune Miku, Ichiban, and Joker for some reason.
Because
also Steve, because why not?
Because Atlas and Microsoft will shill those two characters to anybody that can breathe.
Yeah.
In fact, breathing may be optional.
Breathing is, in fact, completely optional. I mean, at least Ichiban's car looks like the most ridiculous, over-the-top dragonfish car you can imagine. In his usual hamtastic way.
Mm-hmm.
Joker drives an Arsene car. Miku has a hoverboard. I don't know what that's in aid of. I don't usually associate Hatsune Miku with hoverboards, but anyway. Somebody probably does.
Well, the thing is that she's 16, canonically, and of course, being an artificial life
Allegedly.
form, she can't age. So, she can't have a driver's license, I guess.
I guess. And yeah, Steve has a minecart because Minecraft is a cash cow and everything you put Steve into is going to sell like hotcakes.
So basically, the classical image of Steve at this point has been completely replaced in my brain with Jack Black.
You're not the only one, honestly, on that front.
Oh man, the other image I have of Steve is his all the Smash players complaining about him nonstop because he's apparently busted in the latest Smash game and never got patched.
Completely broken. It's just because his mechanics are completely incompatible with the game itself, so he just breaks out completely. Anyway, so yeah, I will probably get that one at some point because, like I said, I've got a soft spot for those games because they're just so dumb, but also fun.
They are games that I put on the I'll get this on sale if my friends are still playing it games. And that worked for All Stars Racing, and it was so stupid that it was fine. Okay.
I also got a kick out of the original creator of Sonic getting up at the end of the stream and throwing shade at Mario Kart. By basically saying, unlike certain other kart racing games, wink wink, this one has online cross-platform and full matchmaking. which Mario Kart does not. Right, next game is put on your Toonie hats. Code Vein 2.
All right.
All right,
I haven't played the first one
remember-
yet.
I did want to play the original one at some point. It kind of blew past really quick.
I mean, it was good. It wasn't. It was literally just we have the Souls engine. Let's put waifus in it.
Yeah, basically. And let's just make it Toonie as hell.
I don't have a problem with that. Like, you're not telling me anything that's not going to sell me on it.
Yeah. So the new one basically looks like more of the same. It's just big, flashier, and more Toonie. I think the original one's pretty cheap at the moment. Let me have a look. Yeah, because it was for a long time it did not go down in price. Yeah, it's only like $10.
Yeah, I think I own it. I just haven't played it.
I also own it and haven't played it.
I just need to actually become good at those games. Maybe I need to finish
Yeah.
Gear Obscure.
I've got to finish that first. Yeah, that's
Uh-oh.
my.
I haven't
my
made
single
any
player
progress on that this week
remake.
whatsoever. Oh, Aristotle, you need to make sure that you establish Fern has passed whichever part that will enable you to breathe again.
Oh, Fern, have you finished the end of Act 1?
I have not. I'm about halfway through that final dungeon for it.
Okay.
Keep holding your breath, Aristotle.
Yeah.
I think it's the final.
Because
We won't get to Claire Obscure to say.
No, but once you get past Act 1, my life talking about the game gets significantly easier.
Right.
He's not going to accidentally step on a spoiler landmine or something.
It's one that's really hard to dodge.
Yeah. All right, let's get back to this. End of Abyss. It's an isometric shooter and an incredibly boring industrial maze. That's honestly all I can say about it. ISO shooter, mutants, boring maze. There's probably some sort of narrative going on through it, but I don't know. Next game, Mouse PI for Hire. I've seen this one around before. It's Rubber Hose Boomer Shooter. Take
Wait,
that for a weird mix of stuff.
How boomer shooter are we talking here?
Moderately Boomer Shooter.
Like, we talking like modern graphics boomer shooter, or are we talking like retro boomer shooter?
Well, neither, because it's rubber hose animation.
Okay.
In terms of gameplay wise, it's slower than your average Boomer Shooter. But there's also cartoony nonsense going on the entire time, so yeah.
This sounds like
It's kind of hard to gauge it.
Sounds like a Serathis game. I'm sure he will
Very much so.
he will inform us.
I might play this one at some point too. It looks different and weird. Especially when you've got your main character running around with a very over-the-top, silly film noir voice.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, of course he is for that time period. Next, Game of Thrones War for Westeros. It's Game of Thrones RTS. No gameplay, of course.
Mm-hmm.
I could say that the setting, I suppose, lends itself to an RTS. But that's about all I can say about it.
Except nobody has successfully made an RTS game in like a decade.
Yeah, there's also that. There's been attempts. And I'm not
there are attempts at a lot of things.
Yeah, I'm not going to say Beyond All Reason counts because they're copying Total Annihilation. Stop it. Anyone who wants to bring that up.
Well, still nobody plays it, so.
A lot of people.
That's the thing.
Play that.
Nobody plays RTSs. That's the problem. There's no market.
The genre is dead, sadly.
Oh. Every time RTS has come up, I used to think of all the classics, and now I just think of Red Alert 3.
Yeah, Red Alert 3 was great, but
a game that can never ever be made again for a myriad of reasons.
I like Generals. Generals is not good, but I liked it.
Generals was bad, but in an entertaining way.
Yeah, Generals was fun.
But yeah, like most of the RTSs that are kind of in the pipeline or have come out recently, it's like been RTS, but. And it's just, no. Or in the case of Dawn of War 3, it was like RTS, but it don't work.
Was Dawn of War 3 an RTS?
Sort of.
Because a Dawn of War 2 I would not classify as an RTS.
It was more of a tactical game, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And 3 is kind of in that same vein. Whereas Dawn of War 1 is RTS through and through.
Yeah, so it's the unit Overwatch style of RTS compared to the classic build your units at a building RTS, but it's still definitely an RTS.
Build your murder ball. So yeah, we don't know what this is going for, but it's Game of Thrones. The setting works for an RTS. The mechanics probably won't because someone's going to ruin it. It'll probably be one of these games where it's like, yeah, there's a decent standard RTS in here, but then you've got hero units which just completely overshadow everything and ruin the balance.
Yeah, I remember discovering that when I was first playing through Warcraft 3, I was just like, what happens if I just leave all of my other units at base and I just use Arthas? And it was like, oh, okay, I guess I just finished the entire mission using just Arthas.
You just win. And yeah, Battle for Middle-earth was much the same thing as well, which is probably closer to what this is going to be. All right, next game, Atomic Heart 2. It's Sci-Fi Soviets all over again.
We do these a
Except
lot.
this time
I didn't play the first one, and I mean, I didn't really have any reason to because nobody said anything about the game that wasn't discussion over the setting and the lady robots for some reason.
They do have machine gun jubblies.
Yeah, but I didn't even know anything about the game after the amount of chatter that there was about it. Like, I didn't learn anything.
Yeah, and I did watch at one point a summary of the plot, which apparently had a lot of really big holes in it, but I can't remember anything else about it. But like the setting's interesting, I guess. It's all shiny and weird, and things are just happening because why the hell not? I am mostly certain that the people who wrote the plot are completely smashed. So, I don't know.
Are you
Maybe
trying to tell me it's not historically accurate?
not particularly. No, I don't think the Soviets had a army of homicidal femdroids. They might have, but we'll never know. All right, next.
Yeah, knowing that period of history, it's entirely possible that a government project might have existed to create such a thing.
There was some weird and wacky stuff going on during that time period. That's not even taking into account any of the black magic stuff. All right, in the same universe, we have The Cube, which is an MMO set in what I can only describe as the Rubik's Cube of Doom.
This sounds very Molyneux.
Kind of. It's like a cube up in the sky with different environments on each face, and then the faces shuffle around as a giant Rubik's Cube. They showed a little bit of gameplay, but really it was just like fast-paced FPS stuff. Probably my guess would be this is an extraction shooter of some description. Because
I'm still kind of hazy on what an extraction shooter is, to be totally honest.
It's a fairly niche genre. It's usually a team of players has to go in, complete an objective, and get out before everything goes to hell.
Right, so it's just like it's a shooter, except after you finish running through the level, you run back through the level.
In a lot of cases, yes, or at least run to a different point of the level. And there's variants of that, like the hunt, for example, is everyone's doing it multiplayer, and you have to try and be quiet because directional sound is a very important part of that game. So yeah, PvP is a thing, and some PvP is not a thing. In others, like Helldivers, PvP is not really a thing.
Well, not from the gameplay I've seen, anyway.
I mean,
they seem very intent on harming each other, to be totally honest.
Yeah, that's true. I've played some Helldivers, and things get interesting. Is one word for it, I suppose.
Did they have some really big event recently or something? Because I saw it suddenly spill out all over my feed for a
They
few
did.
couple days or something.
They did an overhaul again. They moved their story forward by a big jump and let people actually go to Super Earth, the home of democracy.
Super democracy.
Super democracy.
It must be. Oh, well, I mean, technically, don't they call it managed democracy, which is everybody's worst nightmare?
Yes, it is managed democracy. And like, I know you get the people out online and say, "Oh, you're playing as the bad guys in this," but no, you maybe in another setting they'd be the bad
No,
guys. But in this case, it's like,
this is the logical extension of the real world. I'm sorry.
yeah. At this point, it's like everything's so completely ridiculous and over the top, you can't take it seriously anyway. So what's the point? Just shut up, embrace democracy, shoot bugs. / robots / blue guys. Because blue guys are a thing now. All right, next, Marvel Cosmic Invasion. It's Streets of Rage, but Marvel characters. One of those ones.
Mm-hmm.
There's a few of those. Next, Onimusha Way of the Sword. I thought it was another trailer for Neo, honestly.
Well, Neo kind of ripped off Onimusha.
It kind of did.
That's where they get their aesthetic from.
Actually, not even kind of. They just straight up did.
Yeah, they're basically the spiritual successor to Onimusha on a different engine.
Well, for the longest time, Capcom wasn't doing anything with the whole idea.
Yeah, well, the thing is, it was an odd idea to begin with, right? Because it was like Resident Evil, except with action combat that is sort of like a half-pie version of the Devil May Cry engine.
Yep. And
Like,
everyone is sort of samurai for reasons.
it's like if you put Devil May Cry and Resident Evil in a blender and just hit go, just to see what would happen, then you get Onimusha, and then they made heaps of them.
Yeah, and then stopped.
And the puzzles are just as irrational as Resident Evil ones, if not more so, because of the sort of the mystic overtones of everything.
Yeah. So yeah, there is a new Onimusha coming because I guess Neo happened, and now Capcom wants to get back in on it.
Is it a new Onimusha, or are they rebooting an old one to try and start over?
From what I could tell, it's a new one.
I'm not sure if there was a continuous thread in the story. I never finished one. I don't think I ever finished one actually. I started several.
Or is it one of those plots where the writer got a blow to the head at some point and kind of forgot everything? I don't know.
Sort of hard to say. Like there's such a dramatically, like it bears an even more tenuous relationship to actual events than Dynasty Warriors does to Three Kingdoms China.
Yeah. Like, seems like the writer at least tries to follow canonical events, sort of.
And then they go Super Saiyan, but
and then they go Super Saiyan for no reason.
Yeah, but at least they're all sort of at least nominally human.
I'm pretty sure that Lu Bu was not, in fact, God. Although apparently, if you met him on the battlefield, maybe he was. I don't know.
He was the most backstabber to ever backstab, is basically what you hear about him in most of the historical accounts.
He did do a lot of backstabbing.
But it mostly seems to be because he's kind of a retard.
Yeah, actually, I think Lu Bu's byline is basically, fuck you, got mine.
He's just basically got Unga Bunga brain and doesn't really know how to be loyal because he's only thinking about the Unga and the Bunga.
At some point, oh right, I have a wife. And forgets about her again. And then wonders why she's betraying him. Anyway. Next game is a very, very strange one. I mentioned the Muppets before. Felt That Boxing. It is a very gritty boxing drama in the vein of like the Rocky movies, except it's done with Muppets.
Like the Muppets, or Muppets as a generic term?
Generic Muppets. Gameplay wise, it's Punch Out.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just like, why? Every few years, something like this pops up where it's like puppets, except they're incredibly gritty. Like, I watched a movie a few weeks ago. I can't remember what it was actually called, but yeah, it's all about chain smoking, whoring Muppets. Very, very strange.
Well, it's because people like to violate wholesome things. That's literally the only reason.
Yeah, yeah.
It's anti-civilizational.
It's a subversion. Right, so that was
Potato,
that.
potato.
Potato, potato. All right, next game is also a very strange one that I'm not sure why. Killer Inn. Competitive multiplayer whodunit. And so it's like the killer's team has to kill everyone on the other team. The other team needs to root out who the killers are. But from everything they showed, it's like everyone's running around with shotguns.
This doesn't
And
sound conducive to a game of werewolf.
no, it doesn't. So everyone's running around just doing silly, wacky FPS stuff. Occasionally, one of the detectives will stop, pick up a clue, and then keep running.
Is this one of those games that's just designed for streamer collabs?
I think so, yes. Except it doesn't have any of the subtlety. Like we've kind of figured out how to do the multiplayer whodunit formula already. We've got Werewolf, Salem, Mafia, Among Us. We know how these games go. They don't need shotguns, they don't need looter-shooter mechanics, and they don't need a death run mode. I don't know why this game is, or what this game is. All right, next game is a game I don't think anyone really cares about. It's Arc Raiders. It is the 80s futurists extraction shooter.
It's a Blade Runner extraction shooter.
No, it's not that interesting.
But that's 80s. That's what they thought the future would be like in the 80s.
Yeah, this is a more boring version of the 80s future, where everything is just washed out. This is kind of a recurring theme lately. Is like we've lived long enough at this point to see a part of our lives, our early lives particularly, become fantasy for the next generations.
We also pointedly did not live to see the Jetsons happen.
Sadly, no. My flying car and sassy robot maid. Thank you very much. Even though all she does is complain half the time. I like robots. So yeah, this must be how our grandparents felt with the turn of the turn of the last century. It's happening a lot where you kind of see this idealized version of the 80s being a settings now. Or do we just blame Stranger Things?
I never watched Stranger Things.
You might have been able to blame Stranger Things back when it was first coming out, but it doesn't have.
Well, in political circles, we refer to this phenomenon as return to Fresh Prince, where everybody is just thinking about how much better things were during the era of Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
I mean, they're not wrong.
Well, the thing is that you of course you can't wind time back, so it's an entirely futile, wistful imagining.
Yep.
You can go around the circle and approach it from the start again, but that's only going to take, some hundreds of years to do.
Some sort of technological collapse. So yeah,
I think that my favorite telling of the Treasure Island story is still the Muppets one.
Oh yeah,
absolutely.
The
Muppets were good.
And Muppets Treasure Island and Muppets Christmas Carol. There's another Christmas Carol movie that's come out more recently, which is closer to the books. But
yeah, but the Muppets one, man, like the Scrooge guy is 100% taking everything seriously. He plays everything with a perfectly straight face.
And he does it perfectly, yes.
You would never know that he was acting alongside Muppets were you not looking at the screen.
When he's being completely dead serious and he's got Waldorf and Statler in his room as ghosts doing a musical number. And it's completely stone-faced. It's great.
The era of talent is over. This is why everybody wants to return to Fresh Prince.
Back when Will Smith wasn't crazy.
when he wasn't
All
a
right,
cuck.
but Arc Raiders. Honestly, it's one of those games that's been in development for so long. I don't think anyone actually cares anymore.
Hey,
Because
Duke
it's been
Nukem
in.
Forever came out, man.
Yeah, but can you really say that was a good thing?
I don't know. I didn't play it.
Nobody did because it was bad.
I lost interest in Duke Nukem after I was about 14, so...
Because you aged out of it. Yeah. Everyone aged out of Duke Nukem. So yeah, I don't think anyone cares. This is probably going to go the way of the Concords.
Flight of the Conchords?
That would be preferable, but no.
The flop of the Concords.
Yeah. Actually, that's a recurring theme I've noticed, at least through the main show, is the decided lack of woke.
Well, everybody's trying to put it away right now because it's sort of... It's proven itself to not be commercially viable, and so it's sort of they're hiding their talents for the time being.
They're trying to do it on the download. Besides, there's at least two panels as part of this whole thing that are more or less dedicated to it. All right, where was I? Dune Awakening. It's Conan Exile's developers making a Dune game, which I've played a bit of. Not a whole lot, but a little bit. And I'm enjoying it so far. It does kind of require you to know at least your basics about Dune, like who the great houses are, who the Reverend Mother and the Bene Gesserit are, and why everyone's fighting over the spice.
People keep telling me that you have to read it, and then I see the size of the book, and I'm like, no.
Yeah, don't
I'll read
read
Lord
it.
of the Rings again.
If you're going to read the book, get the audiobook.
If I'm going to read a book that long, it's going to be Lord of the Rings for like the 4th time or whatever. Like, I'm not going to waste that much time reading something like that.
Yeah, the biggest problem with Dune is it's like lore dumps upon lore dumps.
I don't think that's the biggest problem with Dune. I think it's in text format trying to convey that everybody can see the future, and everybody's trying to out-precog each other.
That's basically the Bene Gesserit in a nutshell, yes.
Well, I can see the future!
Yeah, that is the book. It's Paul Atreides and everyone else that can see the future going, I can see the future, no, I can see the future, no, I can't see this guy's future.
And then they just start stabbing each other.
Very slowly.
Very slowly. With lots of funny words. Like, you can't just say, I have neurotoxin. It has to be, I have the Gom Jabbar. No, yeah. It's just neurotoxin.
Yeah, and all of it is just all hail the space Muslims.
Yeah, so, where was I? This new one, Dune Awakening, it's an alternate timeline where Paul Atreides was never born. So you don't need to worry about him. The Fremen have disappeared, except for this one guy who shows up right at the start of the game and loves blowing up ships and then disappearing.
Ah, much more space Muslim, I see. Got it.
Yeah, he kind of shows up, he shoots down a ship, you happen to be on this ship. He helps you a little bit and then goes away. The next time you find him, he's blowing up another ship. And then disappears again. He's also the one, though, who talks like the most, like a normal person, which is kind of weird. He's not, he uses a few of the funny words, but not as much as other characters. So yeah, beyond that, it is like survival out in the desert. You got to try and manage your water and not attract the worm. They actually, they did. There is no seeing the future. Oh wait, no, that's wrong. Actually, you
without seeing the future. What?
So you huff spice and then you see visions.
What is even the point of Dune if nobody can see the future?
Like the whole point of the series is to navel gaze about how stupid an environment where different people that can see the future all trying to out scheme each other is, and then just gets more and more it's just written by a guy that got way too caught up in his head.
The main thing I'm pulling from this is that DBZ Abridged is a more poignant cultural touchstone than Dune.
Honestly, someone should do a Dune Abridged. Actually, the movie's kind of that.
By the time I read the book in full, I had already seen DBZ Abridged, and
yeah,
I
can see the future.
Every other chapter has them going off about how somebody can see the future, and that voice clip it's just playing on loop in my head the whole time this scene is going on.
Yeah, that's Dune. Also, yeah, there is sandworms here because why not?
Well, they help you see the future.
Well, if you huff their poo, they do.
Oh,
Don't-
it's poop.
It's worm poo.
This is a way more dangerous version of Slime Rancher.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, I'm not. It's more like general full body poop secretions, but yeah, it's
Yeah,
poop.
yeah. You can dissolve a worm in poo, dry it out, and there you go.
You can dissolve it in.
In water.
Yeah,
there you go.
And then it just turns into like the super spice or something.
Yeah, which helps you see the future.
Mm-hmm. Man, that universe is just.
It's weird.
There are points of the Dunes. I'm really negative on it because I thought it was a really, really dumb plot conceit that the guy was way too far up his own butt. But it does have some good points in it, some fun bits. So I don't want to just totally shaft Dune, but it's just
basically, yeah. A lot of the fan made stuff, the other companies have come in afterwards, and the other writers have come in afterwards, have spent a lot of time just untangling everything. And when you do that, there's some interesting stuff in there, like the whole political backstabbing, the war over Arrakis, and all of that. But you got to get through all the other stuff first.
Yeah, but all that gets subverted by the just raw number of characters that I can see the future.
Yeah. Or you can go to the old Westwood games and you have incredibly hammy performances throughout, which are just fantastic. I recommend everyone plays the Westwood games because holy damn, they were fun. It's like Red Alert, except in the desert. And people can see the future.
Can see the future.
Anyway, speaking of next game, I didn't actually write the name of this one down. That's kind of strange. It is a game by Cacao, so it's probably going to be an over-monetized Korean MMO, but it's a Souls-like game with time travel. Also, the world's covered in meat, because why not?
I'm coming from the future.
Coming from the future.
Provide a lot of useful information, what you just said.
Yeah. Anyone who's familiar with Cacao, that's the most important bit. Because they're the guys who do Black Desert Online.
Oh.
The game where you can sink real world money into upgrading an item and still have it fail.
Also the one that monetizes itself with its Western players just by how close can we get to Gunnar bait for the female characters and sell those costumes without actually getting the not safe for work label on Steam.
They get pretty freaking close. You want to buy some boobies?
Speaking of, bit of a wraparound tangent. Blue Archives is coming to Steam, and it got flagged.
Yeah, it's adults only, apparently. Thanks, Hanako. Well, realistically, there is this one scene that caused a bunch of legal problems in the Chinese branch, because of it's where Aris is found on that plinth in the ruins because she's not wearing anything, even though it's at a great distance. And there's an edited version of that scene where they, I don't know, drape a sheet over her or something like that. But that's about the only thing which could be construed as nudity in that game. Everything else is just Hanako's innuendos.
Maybe that's enough. Is she that dirty in mind?
The correct answer is yes. But it's all played for comedy.
Well, that being that type of person is also a personality that she's adopted on purpose. She wasn't always that person, but she decided to become that person so that she wouldn't be of political interest to the higher ups.
So she doesn't
being too much of a scandalous individual.
If you ever play Blue Archive Fern, Hanako is still the source of my favorite line. She doesn't say my favorite line, but Hifumi just picks up her test paper in study hall and it's like, a 2?
The thing with Hanako to keep in mind is that she's a super genius, basically.
Right.
But her grades absolutely don't reflect that. She gets whatever score she wants to. Which is why she conspicuously scores a 69.
She's just doing it for the memes at this point.
If the Turbo Thought was a super genius.
Something we could skip over really quick. Wuthering Waves. It's still anime as hell. It's still a gacha.
I've heard it's gotten a lot better, but
I don't have room in my life for it. I started it a way back when just to see how it felt, and it does feel good to play. I can see that there's definitely a reason that people like it, but I just don't have the room for it.
yeah,
Yeah.
I'm already enjoying ZZZ for my perpetual action game. If ZZZ ever fumbles, I'll have an entire other game I can poke at in the future. And it did have a few shoes at launch. Apparently, most of them have been ironed out now, from what people are saying. But I still haven't played it.
Probably worth
The
a look
longer-
sometime down the pass. Down
The
pipe.
longer you delay joining a gacha, the higher the hurdle gets too.
Yeah,
that's
Because
true.
you sort of get hit by retroactive FOMO unless you really don't care. But I don't have enough time to play a game that I don't care about, so I would just have to face the retroactive FOMO.
Is why I try not to care.
yeah, that's how you wind up spending money on Kokomi.
Yeah, don't do that.
I did that.
You did do that.
Aristeel did an Aristeel.
All right. Where was I? I got to find my spot in the list now because it's keep going. There we go. Wuthering Waves. Next game, Mio in Memories in Orbit. It's I think it's a Metroidvania. It's not hard. It's hard to tell. Basically, it's about a robot with hair trying to reclaim memories of something or other.
Yeah, no gameplay.
Does robot have hair?
Minimal gameplay. Yeah, it had gameplay, but it was like walking down corridors. This robot has hair. I think we've seen this one before. Maybe start of the year or end of last year.
Maybe.
I
do not retain anything from these shows, even if I watch them.
Yeah. Next is Out of Words, which is a co-op platformer, which is becoming a big thing lately, with stop motion and gravity manipulation.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, it looks cute and charming. So, yeah, co-op platformers do seem to be on the rise at the moment, and honestly, they were a game genre I really did enjoy as a child.
I mean,
but then they kind of disappeared after that for a long, long time.
Yeah, well, these are more proper full co-op platforms than ones we had as a kid, because we're thinking like Sonic or Donkey Kong.
No. There was a Disney one. Was it Mickey and Donald in Magical Castle or something like that? That was really fun. Just trying to navigate around, but I forget what it was actually called now.
Would you count Contra in that bucket? I think that's more of an action game. Co-op action.
That's more of an action game. Yeah, that's DACA. Contra is DACA.
But yeah, that's what I think of when I think of the old co-op platformers, is the take turns platformers.
Yep. No, this is more of the two players work together to solve a platform type, a puzzle type platformer.
Yeah, those have been popular. People say they're good. People have had a lot of fun with them, but they require another person to purchase them, and I'm not sanguine about paying even reduced full price for them, because they're not platformers. I can do them, but they're not my thing.
On the advantage, though, a lot of them that are coming out now actually have a friends pass on them. So you buy one copy, and then you can just give or invite another player into that same copy, and both of you run off the same license.
Yeah,
which is really nice.
I did see a clip of Koseki Biju being absolutely ecstatic over being able to fart as a pig in a co-op game.
That sounds like Beaboo.
And the fart was able to make her jump really high.
The walking embodiment of brain rot, of course.
I saw something about a hot dog.
Something about hot dogs. Yep. Okay, so that's that. Next, Mafia: The Old Country. Another one we've seen a couple of times.
Yeah.
It's the mob drama set in Sicily in pre-war Italy. I mean, it's good for people who like mob dramas, but it's kind of...
How big is that demographic?
I don't know. Mob dramas aren't really a thing so much anymore. They were big for a while, like things like The Sopranos and stuff, but
now
it's kind of all finished now.
Now you're just watching any news coverage of like the shipping union in the U.S. and you get it from there.
Oh, we get the CFMEU here, which is the builders union.
Or you can probably extrapolate a similar narrative from the SAG union,
To a degree.
even though their
I
higher
don't
ups
think
are more
anybody
camera
would.
shy.
They don't
I
have
don't think
thugs.
anybody would want to see that many soy boys in one place at one
Yeah.
time.
But yeah, shipping union, CFMEU, and they have genuine thugs. Like someone you can look at and say he is a professional thug.
That's a step up from Minion, at least.
Oh, it is. Thugs get prestige
Yeah, the thug beats out
and cool
henchmen.
jackets. They're not quite henchmen, but they're getting there in the evil genius hierarchy.
I have unfortunately had to remove Goon from that list because of the Zoomers.
Yeah, goon means something different now, unfortunately.
But I have still let Farina keep her little water pets as the honorary Goon Squad.
Yes. Next up, Lego Voyages. It's another two-player co-op platformer, except you're playing as Lego bits with eyes,
Mm-hmm.
and you build things to solve puzzles. So there you go. Enjoy. Cute, colorful Lego. Everyone likes Lego, except when you step on them. Next game, Nicktoons and the Dice of Destiny. It's an ARPG about Nickelodeon characters playing D&D. And because Timmy Turner is there, they're actually in the game. There you go. Silly, wacky, probably not very good. Sadly,
Doesn't
anytime
Nickelodeon have some really weird and unsavory characters though?
Yeah, they didn't show any of them in this one though, but no Ren and Stimpy's or Rocco or anything like that. It was primarily
can't-
SpongeBob and Timmy.
I'm still unsure as to whether Rocco was intended for children or not. Because
think
clearly
Rocco-
the networks in New Zealand definitely thought it was.
Yeah, same with Australia. But Rocco, I think, falls straight into that yes, but category. Because if you were a child sitting watching Rocco's Modern Life, you heard a constant zooming noise in your ear of things just going straight over your head. Where was I? This list is long. I did not format this properly. Okay, here we go. This one surprised me. It was just like Liza P Overture. By the way, here's an expansion for Liza P. It's out now. Off you go. No warning, no nothing.
What?
Just bang, done.
Yeah, Neil, I know you don't have a lot of money, but I expected some kind of marketing budget for this.
Yeah, nope. Just boom. So it's a prequel from what I could gather, and that's about it. It's like, here you go, off you go, enjoy. It's there.
Yeah, the base game left open a big place for DLC in 2 spots actually, so I presume it'll be one of those 2.
Mm-hmm.
But I have a cracker in my mouth, by the way.
All right.
Yeah, I went ahead and scooped it. I'll definitely play it. I just need to get back in a Soulsy mood.
Get your parry on again.
Well, I just finished Kazan, so
Yep.
so I gotta.
All right, next game.
Yeah.
Fractured Blooms. They came out of the gate on this one saying it's based on a true story.
Oh no.
Which
Is
means
based
an
on
armor
doing a lot of work here.
Well, it's an anime farm girl walks around her house musing about plates, and her house is turning into meat.
Why is there so much meat?
I don't know. Why is every environment just being corrupted by coating it in meat?
The Zoomers seem to be obsessed with food.
Well, this isn't the food kind of meat. This is just random organic bits.
Well,
I'm just saying meat is shorthand.
yeah. I'm not sure where that comes from.
So I have no idea what true story this is supposed to be based on, but I think they've strayed from it.
Did somebody read Sayano Uta and think that it was a documentary?
I'd be very worried for that person if that's the case.
See, the thing with that is, that particular VN has become sort of a meme amongst the types that inhabit fandoms with a capital F.
Oh no.
They now think it's theirs. And there are a variety of uncomfortable implications.
Wait,
I
Yeah.
do not want to think about those implications, thank you.
Yeah, no, I don't want to think about that too much besides the occasional joke.
Yeah. So, honestly, Fractured Blooms, it's probably going to be a big metaphor for mental states or something like that.
Because everything is these days, apparently.
Because everything is, especially when it's based on a true story.
Justify any piece of terrible behavior by just saying you have the tism.
To a point.
Or the depression.
In this case, it's probably going to be about a serial killer or something. That's the only thing that would really fit the theme. All right, next we go Blade and Soul. We've got Neo and Blade and Soul Heroes, which is gacha again, anime, Lolly with a machine gun, Saitama. That's it. These games have been kicking around for a while, and then another one of those like, let's just copy Hoyo, or let's try and out Hoyo gachas. So yeah,
Yeah, I saw somebody commenting on this show that Hoyo didn't show up, but you wouldn't know, but just by looking at what was presented.
no, you would not. Like, you can look at Blade and Soul and think, oh, that's ZZZ. Or you can look at Wuthering Waves and think, oh, that's Genshin. But no, they're different.
Yeah, well, I mean, Genshin right now, it's slow rolling its quality of life features, but
It's taking its time.
Yeah, if they don't step up their game, it will eventually be ripe for the bowling over if you get lucky.
Wuthering Waves comes in and says, hey, we're just doing everything that this game does, but better.
They've just basically been cruising on COVID money for an extended period.
They can't do that no more. That money's run out.
That was a lot of COVID money.
That was a lot of COVID money.
Like eventually, all of those people will move on. All the people that started playing during COVID, because a lot of them have a very loose connection to it as an IP that was just something to do. All it needs is just something to grab their attention. They won't hold any loyalty to it, and eventually they might just stop playing video games altogether, since it wasn't one of their hobbies to begin with. Like, there's a lot of these people who that revenue stream is just going to slowly trickle out, basically.
Yeah, as people go back to their original hobbies and things like that, lose interest. And it's just kind of, it's not good or bad. It's just kind of one of those things.
Yeah, well, the thing is that they, if they're counting on it, they shouldn't.
Well, streaming's already kind of biting the, getting bitten in the ass from it. It's all you had during the height of the coof. You had all the streaming services budding off, making new services, bringing in new subscribers, and then once everyone was allowed to go back outside again, that revenue all just vanished.
Yeah. We also have the streamer problem, though, with the Zoomers that call themselves gamers, even though I hate that term, but don't actually play video games. They watch other people play games.
They're part of the gaming community. Everybody's in a community now.
Yes, the fact that the term for gamer is just so basically open and all-encompassing, it's really anyone who's played a game at some point can call themselves a gamer.
Well, when I was growing up, gaming meant that you went to the pokies.
Yes, and in a professional setting, that's usually what it means as well. Unless you're actually talking about Vidya.
We weren't talking about Vidya here. I meant you went to the casino.
Yeah, it means gambling, basically. All right, we've still got a bit to go because this keeps going.
Also meant you ate a lot of peyote and hung out with the engines a lot. They own all the casinos.
Right. Next game, another game that no one is going to give two shits about. 7 Deadly Sins Origin. It's a prequel to the animes, and it's basically like looks like Tales except 7 Deadly Sins.
The most forgettable anime of all time gets a video game.
At least all the characters are staying on model now.
For being mid and forgettable, it has a disproportionately large and enthusiastic fan base.
There is even a market for mid.
I guess for a while it was like one of the few anime on Netflix,
It was.
like in full. So
And it was for that audience, kind of the only long running shonen they had
yeah,
until they, got out and actually discovered Crunchyroll or other services where you could actually get, better shonen.
until they typed in 9 in their search bar. Rip 9 Bob,
Yes.
we miss you.
Yeah. Nine Bob is still around. It's just wearing a different hat
Oh
and a
no,
trench coat.
9 Bob is dead. High Bob is the new Bob, and it's totally different people.
It is Hi Bob. Hi Bob. So yeah, for the middest of the mid of the anime, it's like it's there, I guess. Is any character going to go inexplicably off model for any reason? I don't know, but we'll see. But yeah, the whole plot for Seven Deadly Sins is like, eh.
When I said forgettable, I mean I don't remember a dang thing about that show. Then there was a big giant lady.
I remember. Well, there was a big giant lady, and there's a talking pig, and then there's like everyone's getting sad and depressed, and then somebody just screams friendship, and everyone's happy and winning.
Right. I never watched
Yeah,
it.
it's that degree of writing. Like there's interesting plot beats, like a lot of the general plots behind the various the Seven Deadly Sin characters are interesting, except for Meliodas, who's boring as hell. But they never really do much with it. It's like, okay, you had a cool backstory, bro. Next game, Jurassic World Evolution 3. Jeff Goldblum is. I'm not sure if it's Jeff Goldblum himself here really phoning it in, or it's a imposter or an impersonator.
Probably
But he will
an
never
imposter.
escape. Well, imposter. He will never escape the life finds a way line, ever.
Why would he want to? It's iconic.
It is a meme, is what it is.
I mean, memes can be good.
Same diff.
Yeah. So yeah, I enjoyed Jurassic World Evolution. The second one was fun, and there's a video on YouTube of someone basically making an island, filling it with various dinosaurs, and then dropping a devil joe on it. So there's that. It if in case you're wondering, it does not end well for the ecosystem as a whole.
Well, Devojo's a hungry boy.
He is a hungry boy. To the point where he just eats everything and then starves to death on his own. That's the outcome of dropping Devil Joe into a park full of dinosaurs. Bad things happen.
It's really hard to mess.
How did you become a Devojo to begin with? Like, where does Devojo slot into a natural ecosystem?
It turns out he doesn't. That's kind of the problem. But yeah, a lot of the Jurassic Park and stuff, especially Jurassic World, I really zoned out on a lot of it when they started making up their own dinosaurs.
I mean,
Is
it's
that a thing they did? I saw the Jurassic Park 1 and 2, and on the third one I fell asleep in the cinema part way.
Yeah, the third one wasn't very good. And then they went to
I never
Jurassic
watched another
World
one.
and went from there. Whereas, hey, we should have learned the value of not underestimating our own hubris and doing things just because we can. Meanwhile, let's merge these two dinosaurs and sell it to the military.
I mean, it's pretty hard to screw up dinosaurs. Dinosaurs are kind of like trains; they're just cool.
They are just cool. So yeah, and more likely I'll probably get this one for free off Epic at some point. That's where I got the last one.
That said, I have no faith in a random IP game from some no-name company.
It's by Frontier, the guys who make. Well, they've got a bit of a pedigree now. Actually, they started with Roller Coaster Tycoon 3 and kind of built up from there. All right, next is Mina the Hollow Knight. Hollower, not Hollow Knight. There is no Hollow Knight in this show, and I'm disappointed. Mina the Hollower. It's by the Shovel Knight guys. It looks like they're basically doing the same thing to Zelda as they did to DuckTales. So you're a mouse fighting vampires and stuff.
Which Zelda?
The old school Oracle of Seasons type
I-
dealies.
Isometric Link to the Past style.
Yeah, the original Zeldas, the old school stuff.
Yeah, because there was that one foray in between the isometric ones where they tried this 2D side scroller thing.
Zelda 2, yeah, that didn't work so good.
Isometric Zelda is the best Zelda.
It is. To the point where Sega ripped it off wholesale at one point and made Golden Axe Warrior, which was basically Zelda except you have an axe.
Clearly an axe.
Actually
and not
played
a
that game
sword, so
all the
it's
way
totally
through.
different. Okay.
It's totally different, and you did get the Golden Axe. That game was actually Golden Axe Warrior back on the Master System was great. It was a shameless rip-off of the original Zelda, but it was still fun. Right. So that's that. I mean, I like Shovel Knight. I liked the what they did with it and the upgrades they made to the original game format. So I might check this out at some point.
Yeah, Shovel Knight was okay. I'm not as I can play 2D platformers, but they're not my thing. Isometric Zelda is not really my thing either. I like them the best of the Zeldas available, but I'm more interested in that than I am 2D platformers. So if it's cheap, maybe.
Yeah, it'll be cheap at some point. Hollow Knight goes on sale like every 3 or 4 weeks at this point.
Yeah, but that's
Hollow Knight, Shovel Knight.
Yeah, about to say.
Hollow Knight also does actually.
Yeah, Hollow Knight's always on sale because Team Cherry needs to somehow keep making money because they're not going to release Silksong.
Where are you, Team Cherry? Are you hiding? All right, next up was a bit of a cringe sketch to introduce Deadpool VR, which is basically you're doing Deadpool things, except you have Neil Patrick Harris doing Deadpool, who, honestly, he sounds like the Ryan Reynolds Deadpool, except much more chill and relaxed, possibly needing a nap. I'm hoping he's just low energy for the because that's all they could get for him for the trailer and stuff. Maybe he was sick that day, but yeah.
He's my opinion of NPH has dropped considerably as time has gone on.
He's another one who kind of went down the strange wizard hole, or magician hole, I should say.
Well, he went down the butthole, is what he did.
Even though he was doing that, he was still making some fun stuff before.
Yeah, but then
later he kind of went weird.
Yeah, and then he went full weirdo down the butthole.
So yeah, might be good, but again, VR stuff is kind of hit and miss. We'll see. Maybe they'll do something interesting with it.
Yeah. The good news is
Deadpool
every VR game that comes out gets every VR person in the world talking about it whenever there's any new release of Substance, so you'll know if it's any good or not.
Yeah, you will. And it's because there's so little of note that comes out on VR.
Well,
it's like, here's a new game. What do they do new with it?
Yeah, there's like 3 substantial releases a month, maybe.
If you're lucky. Next game, Dying Light the Beast. Dying Light is still a thing. It's open world, parkour, zombie survival. Meh, 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 meh. Maybe you're a werewolf this time.
You're not sure?
Not sure. No, they kind of had the player making his hands into claws and going rah a bit, but then they cut out, so we don't know if he actually turned into a werewolf. Maybe he was just very angry. All right, next is Mixtape, which we've seen before again. It's the fantasy 80s coming of age story, which is about saccharine as you can possibly imagine. I mean, people who like walking simulators and stuff will probably like that. But it's got an interesting soundtrack, I'll give it. I mean, they crack out Pearl Jam and things, so it can't be all that bad. Maybe I'll skip the game and just buy the soundtrack. We'll go with that.
Or just listen to the soundtrack on YouTube.
Or Spotify or something, yes.
Why
next,
Spotify? Spotify want money.
They do want money. Actually,
They're
for a lot of
always
the stuff
asking
at
for
that
money.
age, some of the stuff at that age you can get for free for a little bit, and then they want money.
Well, that's the problem is the service. The service, they say, oh, okay, you can play this, but only in a random order.
Yeah. Next game, Toa and the Guardians of the Sacred Tree. It's looks like kind of a Hades style roguelike, maybe, at least in gameplay wise. It's a story set in Japanese folklore about the power of friendship, and there's an unnecessarily swole fish in it. There you go,
Wolfish.
swole fish. He also looks very chill for a swole fish. It's kind of weird. It's like incredibly muscular human body, and then there's kind of a fish sticking out of the top of it. Very strange.
I see.
But yeah, it looks cute and charming and kind of fun. Who is this swole fish and why is he here? Next is Acts of Blood. It's an indie game for Indonesia. It's a brawler, but it's in 3D, so probably closer to Sifu, with a lot of blood. Like a lot of blood.
You know, as you do.
As you do, you punch all the blood out of people. And it's
You
like,
know.
yeah, one guy from Indonesia, and he set the whole thing in his hometown, which is kind of neat.
Is it?
I mean, it's kind of neat for one guy to do all that.
He wants to remove all the blood from all the people in his hometown.
That's a very alarming way of thinking about it, but I guess.
I mean, I can understand the sentiment. I can also understand it's not a very healthy sentiment.
What is going on in Indonesia?
Apparently a lot of stuff right now.
Yeah, actually, a lot of stuff is happening over there. Right. Along the brawler line, we have a Scott Pilgrim game, which has 4-player co-op. It's Scott Pilgrim. You fight to use their list. You fight robots, you fight demons, and you fight vegans. So that's a thing, but honestly, Scott Pilgrim is one of those things that really just missed me completely.
I don't understand it at all. I
Yeah,
think you
there
need
was
to be
that-
like a Bay Area millennial or something.
Yeah. There was that decent mid-movie quite a few years back now.
It's an okay beat 'em up game that one of my friends pointed out to me and turned me on to back in the 360 era.
Yeah, it looks like one of those things that's just bright, colorful, wacky. Let's just punch some guys type game.
But yeah, it does give me the impression of just there's a culture that created this game and you are not a part of it.
Yeah. This is somebody else's thing. Next game, First Descendant, Breakthrough. They're putting out their new big patch for people who are still playing First Descendant. That was an MMO actually that kind of like everyone was hyped for, and then you heard from nothing about it after it launched. It's like, this is an MMO. It's got boobies and butts. That was their marketing.
I
I
mean,
mean, it's not the least effective marketing I've ever heard of,
It turned out to be
But-
quite effective, at least for a while.
but possibly the Lies of P expansion is going to take that crown this time.
Yes.
like,
Not the boobies and butts comparison, I hope.
No, I mean the in terms of worst marketing.
Oh, yeah. They had zero marketing.
I mean, I'm not sure what NeoWiz is going for. I know NeoWiz is not a very rich company, but Liza P must have done all right. Did they blow all of it on the music videos for DJ Max?
And
Maybe.
they blew it on hookers and blow.
Well, no, because they're the guys that pioneered the NB Rangers. There's no way they blew it on hookers.
You're not denying the blow, though.
Oh, they definitely are. Blow would be a step down from what I'm sure they're smoking over there. If you've seen some of those music videos, you know they have acid on tap at the office whenever you want some.
Yeah, probably.
The we don't have any animation budget, so we'll make a bunch of robots standing up from the toilet looped for 2.5 minutes.
That sounds productive.
My favorite comment of all time on YouTube comes from that music video. Just me and the boys after Taco Bell.
Is it very resonant?
It's like I understand that remark.
I've never been to a Taco Bell. I have no plans to go.
Actually, of all things, something that's happening in Australia like that right now is Popeyes is becoming a thing. Apparently, it's also
The
in New Zealand, by the way. So if you ever feel like questionably sourced chicken
I
and
mean,
unnecessary amounts of pickles on your sandwich,
yeah, I mean, if you like chicken, it's got a totally different connotation here that's not safe for show.
right? Yeah, from what I could tell on their menus, it was chicken and pickles.
It's a whole lot
That's
of
what this.
it's a whole lot of fried chicken, and
Yep.
it tracks the stereotypes.
All right. Well, before we get into trouble, let's move on.
It's like nope.
Nope. Let's leave that alone. Scum is finally getting its 1.0. Scum is basically an open world PvP survival game like Rust, except it's like they just kind of threw everything in the wall and everything stuck. So I've looked at it over the every now and again over the years because they've just added mech suits for some reason. Okay,
You don't need a
uh,
reason to add mech suits.
that's actually true. Everything is better with mech suits. So I mean, it looks like you could just make all sorts of complete nonsense out of the thing and then pee on it because that's the thing you can also do. So I guess enjoy. I haven't played it, and maybe I will at some point. Maybe I won't. I don't know. Rust kind of missed me completely because it's the sort of game you really need a big group of friends to play with together, and Scum looks like it's in that vein as well. All right, next, Mind's Eye. It's how to describe this one? Third-person shooter set in the near future. Something about buried memories and random implants. This is at the point I was really starting to zone out.
Yeah,
But yeah. Also, Agent 47 is here for some reason.
seems to be getting around a lot lately.
He is getting around a lot. The next one, in fact, is actually Hitman World of Assassination, where for a change, Agent 47 goes in someone else's game. In his own game. He's hunting a Bond villain this time, Le Chiffre from Casino Royale.
Hmm.
And apparently this time Le Chiffre is going to do something other than sit behind a desk and be all smug about it. That's why I didn't like Casino Royale really much, because that's basically all he did. He
Yeah, I
had
feel
his
like
goons
people
for work.
people were like visibly trying to like that movie.
Yeah, but no, the villain just wasn't. He didn't get his hands dirty the way a good Bond villain does.
And at no point did James Bond get strapped to a table with a laser moving towards his nads.
No. Although, actually, if you go back to 007 First Light, credit where it's due, they do have him dangling over a pit with alligators. You know, the classics. So yeah, apparently this mission for World of Assassination, though, is only going to be up for 30 days. Because FOMO, I guess.
Well,
If you
they always do that in Hitman though. Like they've got heaps of seasonal events.
Yeah. So if you do this mission, you get some unlocks for when you get when First Light comes out. You get some bonus stuff, which is probably going to be like Agent 47's suit or something. So yeah, there's that. Next game, Lego Party. It's Mario Party but Lego.
Wow, how imaginative!
Uh-huh. I mean, everything that they kept saying, like it's mini games, it's Lego, it's bright, it's colorful. Yeah, it's Mario Party. Except everything is Lego.
Well,
I mean, it's not bad, but
I mean, if they don't have a way for you to ruin your friendships, it's not ripping off Mario Party.
oh yeah, there's definitely is ways to ruin your friendships.
I'm just telling you, like the Mario Party one chance time that ended relationships forever. You can't replicate that. You're not a real Mario Party.
Yeah. You got to ruin friendships. Next game, Wild Gates. Really bright and colorful space FPS. I was not interested in this whatsoever.
Mm-hmm.
Everything's bright, it's fast, it's colorful, but it's like, yeah, okay, you're just jumping around shooting things, aren't you? Next up, Blighted, made by the Guacamelee team, which I liked Guacamelee. Hard to put the plot on this one. It's like everyone is able to relive past lives and use that to teach things, and a big bad guy shows up and starts eating people's brains. So you grab a
That
scythe
sounds
and
like
go
a
kill
bad
bad
guy thing
guys.
to do.
Yeah. Gameplay wise, it looks like Bastion. Bastion was also good. Don't think it's aged particularly well though.
Well, the score was good.
The score was good. So yeah,
That's what I
it could be
mainly
good.
remember about it. I remember the music. I don't really remember much else about it, to be
I
honest.
remember the narrator's voice. I don't remember what the heck he was talking about.
Nobody really cared about the narrator was saying. They were just happy to hear his voice. So this looks like basically that sort of thing. It's kind of the isometric slashy Hades type thing. Except against very strange mutants eating brains. Next game, Ill. It's a first-person survival horror because there's not enough of those. Also with zombies. This one has undead dangly bits. So there's that.
But why?
They made it.
Why?
Why not? I guess. But
I can
they
think of a
made
whole lot of reasons why not, actually.
I can also.
And
I'd
all of
rather
them
not
begin with
see,
ew.
Ew, indeed. Speaking of ew, they made a big show about their realistic dismemberment technology.
Mm-hmm.
So there's arms and legs and things flying everywhere. And you get to kick babies. So there's that. Enjoy it, you strange, strange person.
This sounds like something that would be made in the 90s to just try and annoy kids' parents.
Yeah, like
It
this.
does, doesn't it?
This is
It's like
early.
it's got blood, it's got guts, it's got baby kicking, it's got dangly bits.
This is early mid '90s edgelord oversaturation level stuff.
Yeah. So yeah, you get to see a lot of zombie butts and other bits.
What if I don't want to see zombie butts?
Yeah, too bad. You're going to see zombie butts. They're all
Why?
pasty and jiggly.
No.
Oh.
Want to.
All right, let's clean those eye brains. Mecha Break. It's still not Gundam, but it has a release date now, so it's coming out at the end of the year.
Well, they've been chewing on that one for a while, so.
Yeah, and still insisting it's not Gundam.
It has giant robots. I don't really care if it's a card carrying Gundam or not.
It basically the only thing it doesn't have is the Gundam name. It's even got the developer or the designer of the Gundams working and designing these Gundams. That are not Gundams. They look like Gundams. They're designed by the guy who made Gundams. It's Gundams.
I like Gundams.
Quack like a Gundam. Yep.
Taste like Gundams.
It's Gundams.
They
With
should
just a
put
little
like a
bit of a
one.
cross in there.
They should put like a rare spawn boss in Night Rain, which is just one of the Armored Core bosses.
Oh, wouldn't that make people scream?
Oh man, if they put the first
Just the
one.
helicopter.
Oh, that would be even better than the one I was thinking of. Yeah, stick the helicopter in there.
I mean, don't they have a bunch of old Bloodborne and Dark Souls bosses in there as well?
They have a bunch of the Dark Souls ones. I don't know if there's any Bloodborne ones that make cameos, but yeah, you can fight like Nameless King and stuff. Dark Souls 3. And basically
That's
anything
cool.
that had a model in Dark Souls 3 is okay and can be ported over. So any of those are fair game, I think. I don't know who all made the cut.
Give him a polish, push him out the door.
Yeah. I mean, Nameless King's pretty hard to screw up.
Yeah. Live to P Overture. That's actually quite expensive for an expansion. Must be fairly substantial.
That or it's NeoWiz.
Oh, right, yeah, it is NeoWiz.
Yeah,
Remember-
think about how much it costs to buy DJ Max.
I
mean-
don't want to because that is a large number.
I mean, if you subtract all the overpriced soundtracks from the DLC, it goes down to about a third of what it actually is, and all the gear skins and stuff. But
Well, so it's only
Incidentally-
like $300.
yeah, for all
Yeah.
well, it is like
Let me see.
probably how many songs?
Oh yeah,
is
it's still $70 for me. Respect V is still $70.
it?
To buy the whole bundle is $976, and that's at 20% off.
Yeah, don't buy the whole
Dollary
bundle.
dues, that is.
That's dollary dues. That is a big number.
Don't buy the whole bundle, and don't buy anything for that game unless the sale's going on. Because while $1 per song would be reasonable, you can just pick and choose the ones you want.
Yeah.
Instead, and you can you don't have to buy the soundtracks or the gear skins for the
Nobody
game.
likes the NB girls.
Yeah, nobody likes NB Girl. Well, the song for NB Girls I actually think is quite funny, but the meme is that nobody likes the NB Girls.
Alternately, I've got Ragnarok there. I could just put on the VR headset and play that. Go Viking drumming.
You could. There are a lot less songs in Ragnarok.
True, but there's a lot of fan-made ones.
That is true.
Go
You
and
did, the
go
community
play for a
was
Diggy Diggy Hole.
yeah they were active for a little bit at least.
Yeah, it's a cool game. We're nearing the end. Nearly at the end. Infinitesimals. It's about very small insectoid aliens fighting robots.
You know, as
For
you
a
do.
change, though, it's not like you have normally like tiny insect-sized people, and usually they have some sort of tribal motif. But now these guys they're full on spec ops, so that's nice.
No, not retarded like Pikmin.
No, like these guys are tiny, but they don't care. They're a full society, and they have guns. They're gonna shoot these robots. And the whole thing's probably going to take place over the area of somebody's backyard. All right, next is they did another one of the things for Resident Evil. They just basically said here's the big Capcom sale, which is currently on Steam now. They did a very strange trailer for Street Fighter 6. Where there's a wrestler who is hallucinating that he is various Street Fighter characters, particularly the new ones. Sagat, Ingrid, Sea Viper, and Alex. I'm surprised Sagat wasn't in there originally. He's kind of a big deal for the franchise.
Yeah, they've held him back before as DLC because he's a guaranteed sell because he's a classic.
Yeah, he is kind of one of those big deal characters who.
He's the whole reason they like that same mentality with Capcom in the fighting games is like why Akuma isn't in the launch roster a lot of the time and comes out as DLC because they know Akuma will sell. It doesn't matter how ugly he is or how bad they botched the design. Akuma's gonna sell. Sagat's gonna sell. You know,
Akuma gets uglier in every iteration. He literally
does.
looks like a moldy piece of bread now.
well, he is in every iteration losing more and more of his humanity.
Yeah, but
There
there's
is
nothing
that.
about him turning into a bakery product.
I mean,
And
sometimes
expired bakery product.
when you turn evil, you just turn into a potato.
You do. Akuma seems to be speedrunning that though.
Well, speed running over the course of 30 years.
Yeah, in relative terms, you know.
I think it's been about 20 years in game. Ryu's an old man now.
Yeah, that's true. All right, next game, Last Flag. It's a hero shooter. It's based in the 70s this time instead of the 80s, and it's Capture the Flag.
Mm-hmm.
There is nothing appealing about this, aside from the old lady with the blunderbuss throwing her legs up Looney Tunes style whenever she fires. That's the most interesting thing I saw about this game. It looks bad. Bad is a word.
A lot of that going around these days.
Yep. Next game, Wu Chang Fur and Feathers. It's a Chinese Souls-like. Because Black Myth made a lot of money, so someone else has got to cash in. Not sure what it's about. It's something harpies, I guess. That's about it. The plot wasn't really shown. The gameplay kind of was shown.
Well, how do you know it's a Souls-like? I mean,
Well,
if you
they
didn't
said
really
it was
see
a
any.
Souls-like.
Okay,
At
so they
least from
told
that one.
you because
They just straight up told that.
they weren't confident that you could figure it out by actually looking.
Well, they didn't show enough of the gameplay and sequence to be able to tell that.
Yeah, that's my point.
Go with
Yeah.
but in what way do they mean? Like on a scale to Dark Souls clone to Iron Pineapple definition, where are we at on the Souls like useless tagometer?
Anything with a stamina bar.
That's
Yeah,
the
point.
Iron Pineapple meter.
That is.
Like if you can roll, have a stamina meter. Sometimes somebody fat wants to sit on you. It's a Souls like.
Yeah. That's enough. That's all it requires. Apparently. Next game, we have a vanity project. Wu-Tang Rise of the Deceiver. Yeah, Wu-Tang Clan is apparently still a thing. But whenever these
is it how is that even possible?
The last I heard of Wu-Tang Clan was the Dave Chappelle skit.
Yeah, that's about the last time I saw it too.
They must have all shot each other by now. Come on.
No, they're not. Remember the Dave Chappelle skit. They're not. They're Asians now. They got bought out in the draft.
Oh, that's how it works, is it?
If you have not seen the Dave Chappelle racial draft skit, it's one of his better ones.
It is one of his better ones. It's funny. So yeah, whenever one of these rappers pops up and makes a game, it's almost always bad, and it's usually there just as a vanity project.
Yeah.
Blood in the Sand, anyone?
50 Cent Bulletproof.
Yeah. Hang on, Blood and Sand was 50 Cent as well, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think he had two games.
It was.
Yeah.
Snoop Dogg teasing he's making one too.
Oh yeah, he is too, isn't he? He popped up at the Game Awards and kind of shuffled around on stage for a bit.
Well, it might have been a bit. In fact, it was probably a bit, but still.
Well, if you recall there, he was so high, his son had to come out and kind of point him in the right direction.
Yeah.
He must be ancient by now.
He's getting on a bit, yeah. He's also in legal trouble again because of allegations. Because
he's a rapper, of course. He's in legal trouble.
It's a Tuesday, and he's a rapper.
I would be confused if that were not the case.
Like, if you show
whether
me
or not they're true or not is completely irrelevant. It's just kind of comes with being a rapper. You're going to get the allegations.
Well, if you show me a gangster grizzly rapper who is not in legal trouble for something stupid that they've done, and is almost certainly their fault, I
haven't done.
I will show you. Never mind. I'm not taking that joke further.
That's a unicorn. Let's see.
It's just a rapper that's going to get bought out in the next draft.
Oh no. Nearing the end, Guild Wars 2 is put out a player housing update because that's the cool thing to do for older MMOs now.
Well, so Traherne can come and visit your house?
If I can mount Traherne's head over my fireplace, I will be there with bells on.
I'm very glad you continued that sentence after where you briefly paused.
But no, thankfully, Traherne is long dead in that setting now. He will not haunt us anymore. He will no longer steal our credit. The jerk.
Yeah, we don't need him to anymore because we've got Wick Lamart instead.
Ugh. That one actually hurt. Why?
Well, it's not so much. Well, she does steal our credit, but she more just turns us into retards along with her.
Well, it's more like there is no credit to steal because Warrior of Light's whole attitude is basically, I'm on vacation, I don't care. But
yeah, if you could like put together a glamour where you're just like wearing shorts and a Hawaiian shirt and have comically oversized sunglasses and just wear that to every scene, maybe that makes Dawn Trail make sense.
It makes it make a lot more sense, I think. You just completely checked out.
No, here's what you do. You get yourself a cat grill. You get yourself some flip-flop glamour. You get yourself some short shorts. I'm sure there's one pair somewhere in the game. and you get the summer sunset top and some ginormous sunglasses and the straw like beach hat.
Yep.
What you really need though is a weapon which is just like one of those coconuts with a tiny parasol and a straw sticking out of it.
Yeah, plenty
And then,
plenty
so
of
you
Yeah.
just
good ones.
wield that every time somebody's about to start combat, you just pull that out.
Summoner and Scholar have the right animations for it. Just there you go. Just hold it like a book. You know. So yeah, that's why Dawn Trail was so bad at this point. So Warrior of Light is completely checked out and doesn't give a toss. I like that. So yeah, Guild Wars 2 is still ticking away. I don't think they're having a free weekend, I believe. Although at this point, basically everyone has Guild Wars 2 in some form.
Yeah,
And that would make the Bakul Jar Jar like mass eugenics scene
Okay.
awfully
Base
mood
game,
whiplashy.
yeah, base game of Guild Wars 2 is free now, and it's buy the expansion you want.
yeah. I was about to say. I think me and Ibu went and poked at Guild Wars 2 again not too long ago, like a year or two ago,
Yeah, I fired it up maybe 2
and
years
then
ago.
and then
Just
turned it off
went,
almost right away because it's got so much MMO jank for a game you're not familiar with. It's rough.
yeah, it's not as bad as other MMOs, but it's got a bit of a curve to kind of get the hang of things. And then you remember, oh, the jumping puzzles.
Oh, how long it takes to get to any given place in an enormous city.
Yes.
Still
Thankfully,
not as
fast
bad
track
as
it.
Warhammer Age of Reckoning, but pretty bad.
And at least that had an excuse. Like the cities were built to have a full-on siege in them.
Yeah, that's true, but
It still didn't make getting around them any easier.
yeah, unfortunately, you still had to use them.
Yeah. All right. Next is a very strange game, Into the Unwell. It's another Hades-like roguelike game, except this one is not Rubber Hose. It is the Dark Age of animation instead. Well, maybe not quite that late. Actually, that's going back earlier than that. It's early age Disney,
So
I guess.
How early age are we talking? Snow White?
Around that time, yeah.
That's all the way back at the beginning.
Except Mickey Mouse, the stuff. No, it was not right at the beginning. Earlier than that.
Oh, that was the first color motion picture.
That was the first color full-length animation movie.
Right, I forget Steamboat Willie and all that exists.
But the Mickey Mouse skits, the Looney Tunes skits from that time period, is what they're looking at here. It's one of those games. It looks like it's just going out of its way to be weird for the sake of being weird. So yeah, it might be interesting, but it was hard to tell what was going on. Like there was action and fighting going on, but there was so much cartoon nonsense going on the screen. It's like I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, I don't know how enthusiastic I'd be for content that's like designed with hipsters specifically in mind.
Yeah, and again, it looked like it was just being weird for the sake of being weird.
Mm-hmm.
All right, we're on to the last three. Next game, Splitgate 2. We've already looked about this game before. They're adding a battle royale mode. Yay, I guess.
Okay. Like that game was fun for a weekend, but it's not a sticker. No.
Yeah, it's like basically it's Unreal Tournament with portals.
Well, it's Halo. The first one was literally a carbon copy of Halo with portals.
With portals. Yeah, and that's what the designers set out to make was Halo with portals. Next game is an older one that's been kicking around for a while, Project Century, from the studio that brings us Yakuza. Ultimately that game ended up being called Stranger Than Heaven. It's a mystery game set in 1943. But keep in mind this is also made by the Yakuza guys, and that has all that it entails in it.
Where's it set? In 1943.
Just Japan in general. Looked like maybe Yokohama, maybe.
Okay.
Just yeah. They didn't show off any particular landmarks that were familiar. Although, actually, one of the earlier trailers, I forget which one, did show actual shots from Yokohama, and I'm kind of surprised just how close Like a Dragon gets to it. Like you can just recognize those landmarks. Pretty cool. So yeah, I'm gonna keep an eye on that one because it's more or less a whodunit sort of story, except it's by the Yakuza guys, so there's a lot of punching for no reason.
Yeah, it's the I need to get caught up on the Yakuza series, but it's a yearly franchise, and the games they release are not small. It takes a
No, they are
while.
not.
It takes a while to get through them. So what winds up happening is I start trying to play catch up, and I don't want to burn myself out on the franchise completely, so I take a break, and then 3 more Yakuza games are out. Like,
Yeah.
okay.
And now you've got a whole new protagonist to keep track of. Although Kiryu's kind of retired at this point, I think. Until he's suddenly not, and he'll show up in his own game again soon. So yeah, it's wouldn't be surprised if there is some sort of crossover with Yakuza, though with the time period, I'm not sure which one.
Anything that comes that studio only has one dev team.
Yeah.
So it's just the yearly Yakuza, even if it's a new franchise.
Yeah. So even though you've got the backdrop of World War II going on at this point in history, it's like there's going to be brawling, there's going to be over the top drama, and I expect there's going to be some silly mini game in there as well. Probably several silly mini games that could become whole games on their own, because that's just kind of how that team do.
Yeah, well, it is post them messing with our boats.
Yep.
Do not mess with America's boats.
They mess with the boats.
You can do a whole lot of things to America, but it will go bad for you if you mess with our boats.
Yeah, we're finally here, the last game, and it's the way that they've been wink, wink, nudge, nudging the entire time. It's Resident Evil Requiem, the next one.
So 9.
I guess they didn't actually put a number on it, so it could be a side plot as well, because that's just how Resident Evil works as well.
So it's like the Mold Men plot over now.
That was pretty well. It's in a position where they could call it done after 8.
Yeah.
The key driver for that plot is not around anymore. They can bring it back if they want to. It's Resident Evil.
Because Umbrella just never lets good sense get in the way of being evil.
Yeah, but the main character that could drive that, the evil mold current bioweapon, that they shuffled off after 8.
Yeah. So this time you've got an FBI agent, a new one, investigating a weird ass hotel. There's zombies, there's mutants, there's a giant ass crater in Raccoon City now.
Well, we know what happened to Raccoon City, so.
So yeah, it's got a giant ass crater in it now. That's what happened.
Because they nuked it.
Yeah. So there's probably going to be some angle following along from that. I'd hope they're going to keep the strong character focus that they had going on in Village.
Well, yeah. Well, in 7 and Village, they managed to nail it with the narrative of the game, as well as you can for a Resident Evil game, given all the Resident Evil conceits. So
yes,
as long as they don't forget what they learned, which for Capcom is not impossible, they do have a case of the talent slip going on right now.
Yeah, though the last few Resi games showed that they've kind of learned for a bit.
Well, they that's what I mean, is the talent has been literally leaving Capcom or getting axed.
Yeah.
So if the Resident Evil brain children are still around that managed to figure it out, I don't know.
We'll see. And Resident Evil's been on a good thing lately, so hopefully they keep it up.
Yeah, if it's not terrible, I'll probably check it out.
Or are we going to end up with the Resident Evil Dark Ages again, where it just kind of completely lost the plot?
Yeah. Chris Redfield.
Gears of War.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Chris Redfield punching the boulder, Wesker in the lava, and all the Ouroboros stuff, and
the unfortunate stain that was Resident Evil 6.
The only good thing to come out of that was the Wesker we got in Marvel vs. Capcom 3 was actually pretty cool.
True. Although now you got Wesker and just the various memes still. Is he going to show up and just be randomly evil for absolutely no reason again?
We dropped that boy in a volcano in 5.
So, yes.
Yeah, probably. He probably survived that.
Yeah, probably.
We watched him
He'll show
burn
up
to
and he'll
death.
have an eye patch or something.
Yeah, we watched him burn to death on screen, but this is Resident Evil. That's not enough.
That doesn't mean anything.
Maybe they'll let go of him now that Marvel is not working with Capcom anymore, so they don't have a fighting game to jam him into.
Maybe, or he'll just turn up in Street Fighter 6 because why not?
I think
Yeah.
if Marvel was savvy, they would have Doctor Doom contact Morrigan Aslan from Darkstalkers and collaborate together for a master plan because of their iconic duo they make in the game in Marvel vs. Capcom, but they are not that savvy.
They are not.
Have
So, yeah.
Wesker phone Virgil.
Yeah. Virgil has to get up from his plastic chair.
That would be really good, and the fans would love it.
They would. There's a small rock who is in that plastic chair and who has to throw her out first. Given it's Resident Evil, it's always had that line of just complete wacky nonsense through it, even though it's trying to be, straight faced and scary.
It's
like whenever you take a step.
sandwich.
Oh.
I love the PS1 era translations.
Why did you bring back the mental scars? So yeah,
That's what Resident Evil's all about.
It is about the ham and the silliness when you take a step back.
The terrible delivery and the dubious at best translations are kind of a hallmark of the PS1 era. Very first voice acting in video games.
That and the completely unnecessary tank controls.
Mm-hmm. Well, actually, if it was PS1 era, if it released early enough, they might have been necessary because
They might have, but
because remember the Dual Shock did not come out until a few years into the PS1's life cycle.
That's true. So they were semi-necessary tank controls. So yeah, that's it. That's the Jeff Keighley show. There is still more to come, but a lot of that will happen next week because it hasn't happened yet.
Yeah, I was gonna give it a quick flick through at least the Jeff Keighley bit of it, and take 20-30 minutes and have my finger on the move 5-second forward button. But my power went out, so I just did not get to see it. So I unfortunately have no visual context for anything you're talking about.
Yep, fair enough. So next week I'm going to have a flick through the Australia one as well, just to see, because mostly it's just cool to see what happens, what's coming out from home.
Just desperately hoping for Silksong.
There is also a degree of hopium/copium. It's a delicate cocktail of the two.
I think I mentioned it before on the Silksong Reddit. They have flares that people can attach to their name that are doubters and believers.
Yeah, hopium and copium.
Yeah, they're always at war with each other in their mad delusional screeching.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm going to look at that. There's probably not going to be a big amount of stuff that comes from that. How long does it go for? Just 2 hours? 3 hours they've actually blocked out for it? Okay.
Speaking of Silksong Reddit, let's see if they're still on Suicide Watch.
Yes.
They're always on Suicide Watch, but let's double check.
Yes, they are. While you do that, we've also got tomorrow, you've got the Xbox showcase, and that's followed up by the Obsidian Outer Worlds 2 panel.
They didn't learn their lesson the first time?
I don't know. We'll see, but Outer Worlds 1, I liked, but I didn't like at the same time because it was meh. It also honestly committed a few of the sins that later Starfield would go on to repeat. But there was a lot of stuff in Outer Worlds 1 to like as well. So we'll see. Yeah, I've said it before. Outer Worlds 1 was the okayest game I've ever played.
I had no strong feelings about this.
It is fine. So yeah, every good point about Outer Worlds 1 was always counteracted by something negative. So yeah, we'll see. There's also a Death Stranding panel, which I don't care about, but if you actually want to try and maybe figure out what that game's about, I suggest you go watch that and give yourself an aneurysm instead, because that's probably all you're going to get.
It's about connections, man.
I guess. Let's see. We don't care about the games driving real world change. Nobody gives a toss about that. The Southeast Asia one, maybe. I have a suspicion that that's going to be full of gacha, though. And the Latin American one, I have no idea.
What in the show did Deadpool do to hack off the Silksong fans?
The whole part of that skit was he basically said, instead of doing that Silksong announcement, let's do mine instead.
Ah, okay. That explains why they're off their rocker more than usual.
They're throwing
give people
Deadpool.
If you're going to give people a very obvious target for your ire, then I guess that's one way to do it.
Yeah. So yeah, that was the Jeff Keighley show, the Summer Games Fest, or the Sun Controller tent, because I'm looking at his website again. Ugh. If you insist on writing it in a stupid way, I'm going to read it in a stupid way. Beyond that, that's it. I don't think we have anything else, do we?
No, but I'm now officially looking at how deranged the Silksong Reddit has become over the last 24 hours.
That way madness lies.
Yeah, it is really like just staring into the void of what happens when you let your brain get too rotted.
Yeah.
Like they are sitting. They are
What does they do? They're just reeing.
Yeah, they're reeing at Deadpool harder than I've seen people ree in a long time, and they've got.
They do know that it was a bit, right?
No,
a very dumb bit.
Not based on the tone of these posts, although it is the internet. And then you've got posting various AI's expectations of announcements at the Xbox showcase, and all of them say Silksong. Like,
because of course they would. That's what the AIs are going to scrape from the internet.
You idiots have probably searched so much on Google and Brave and all that will Silksong be announced on the Xbox showcase that it now thinks it's happening.
Well, everyone who's been making predictions and have put up an article saying Summer Games Fest predictions will have Silksong on there, and the AI is going to just scrape that. That's how AI works.
Mm-hmm.
Turns out that you can trigger a pressure plate in Genshin by pushing Escoffier's little cooking device on top of it.
Okay.
This is actually proving to be quite handy.
I can imagine, actually, because a lot of the other tools we've used for it have been like Guava, who doesn't stay there long enough.
I mean,
and he's hopping up and down.
If you could put him directly on the plate and he won't hop off of it, he can get the plate to eventually trigger sometimes.
Lord Guoba goes where Lord Guoba pleases.
Yeah, certain boogieing cow might be a bit more helpful because he doesn't jump up and down.
Yeah, you could try and get him right now on the Inazuma banner.
Like a good idea.
Sub on the banner.
You'd have to set your
the
Inazuma
regional banners up.
Yeah, for That's how I got Kokomi. The good news is, if you lose a 50-50 on the Inazuma banner, all of the other characters are in the pool, as I found out.
Are the regular standards also in the
I
pool, or
I,
is it you're guaranteed to get Nina Zuman?
I do not know. If it was you're guaranteed to get an Inazuma, yeah, it might be actually worth it. But
Yeah.
because that's way better than a standard 50-50 lost. But yeah, that's I got Kaza. That's my 50-50
All
loss
right.
going for Kokomi.
All right. There you go. I just set Ito as my preferred. I don't necessarily want to have Ito just to play as him. I just want him for the memes.
I mean, you could join us in Team Geo Supremacy.
All right. Let me throw this spin again. I've got enough primos. Let's see if I can get that second Kanichi.
Yeah, just looking at it, it looks like only Inazuma characters are in the pool, period.
Yeah,
Looks like it, yeah.
even the 4 stars are all Inazuma characters. Like, I got all kinds of Sayus that I didn't have before.
Yeah, I don't have Sayu either. Of course, it does also mean that there's a high likelihood of Toma happening.
Toma did already happen once. Well, that was disappointingly crap. I got a Dragon's Bane. Yay. Screw it. Spin again. Why not?
Are you spinning 10 pulls or single pulls?
10 pulls.
Okay.
Getting purple again. Why? Why do you hate me, game?
Gave you Toma?
Yes.
Yeah, you're not going to find a use for Toma.
No.
You will actually probably have a better early game time. Well, I say early game. Breaking into in-game time than me and Vol did because you're not averse to the Bennett.
I don't mind the Bennett, yes. I have almost enough. Oh, speaking of Escoffier, I just got sent the letter for him.
Oh yeah, she sent her birthday food out. It was a lot of birthday
That's
food.
a whole lot of food.
Yeah, those.
All right.
Those things appear to be there just so you can fill out the collection log for food that have character-specific dishes.
Because you can't cook the specialties if you don't have the character. So the birthdays is the only way you can do it.
Yeah. All right. I might do some more spinning later, but it's probably because I want to get another constellation for Kanichi that I'm not going to.
Is this first constellation that substantial?
It's pretty substantial, yeah. I will tell you what it actually does. Hang on. Constellation. I think his third one's even bigger, though.
You're not going to get the third one.
Definitely not.
Nobody gets the third one. Third one's a terrible.
Like, third is pushing it on a character you turbo waifu.
100% crit damage for Scale Spiker Cannon.
Yeah.
Oh.
Plus the movement speed after you shoot someone with it.
Oh, yeah, that's
huge.
Yeah, that's a huge.
Yeah, that's basically the skill that you're constantly spamming does 100% additional crit damage.
Yep. Incidentally, his second one is Dendro resist down and doubles the damage.
Dendro Shred's pretty rare, right?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. The like Vol, you only got Lolly to C2, didn't you?
Yeah.
Like, and that costs way too much money. Or way too many primos.
Any amount of money is too much money.
Yeah, but there's too much money, and then there's too much money.
Oh no.
I just bought one pack and I have most of it still.
But yeah, C3's you need a super turbo waifu the character to go for that, or you are filthy rich.
Yeah, like if you're going for C3, you're pretty much committed to the C6 at that point. Because C3 is so bad on every character, like it's usually very trivial. Maybe there are some characters whose multipliers on
Navia would love
that
C3.
particular skill is so high, but
Navia's C3 is huge. Plus it buffs her gunshot.
Where's this robot dog going? Come back! Why are you running?
I mean, Sitlali C6 is really cool, but I'm never going to go that far.
I mean, if you get Mavwika to C6, you can just drop motorbikes on people.
There is that.
Yeah, but I already don't like Mavwika's style. I don't think I want to make it even more retarded.
I mean, Yeah. I have a fish. Oh, fishes.
I mean, think about the person who has to make repairs
I mean, she has
to the
expressed her.
motorcycle that's being used as a projectile weapon for no good reason.
I mean, Salonen expressed her frustration pretty clearly in that event, I think.
All right. If there's nothing else, we should probably wrap up.
Yeah, I'm just
All right.
running around with a fish in Fontaine.
Yeah.
I'm
So not expecting a
lost.
whole lot from the Microsoft show, but you never know. It might
Yep.
be something interesting. Probably not.
All right. Yep, we'll go over that next week. And for those of you that are still listening and have not checked out ZZZ in a while, anniversary is going on. So even if you haven't played in a bit, the game is radically different
Free 5-star
and
free S rank.
Yeah, free 5-star character and weapon.
I haven't used either of those tickets yet because I have no idea what to use them on.
I stopped and thought about it, and then was just like, you know what? I use Arena the most, and just got another constellation Arena.
That's what I was thinking. I was thinking just go Arena all the way, basically. Because the only one that I don't have who actually has a use is Lycaon, and no.
He will show up eventually, whether you want him to or not.
And it's not like
No, because
Nikomata's any
furry.
good. I have a couple of technically speaking, Kaleda's Mindscape 2 is good, but I was already 100% committed to pulling for Jufufu before this patch came out, so not really much point in building up Kaleda. So
Yeah.
it's probably going to go into Rena because Rena's basically the best secondary supporter that I've got.
I think I just got another Brimstone with the weapon ticket, because Brimstone is just really good.
It's good, but I don't know who I'll put it on.
I don't know, but if there's an attack character I just kind of want that needs a W engine, Brimstone's not a bad choice.
It's going to end up on Soldier 11. That's what's going to happen.
But at least you have the character for it at M1 or something.
Yeah, I do have Soldier 11. I don't think I've gotten Soldier 11 twice.
No, that's great.
Soldier 11 sadly does not gain much benefit from Mindscapes. There are quite a few characters like that, in fact, that just don't gain any real benefit from Mindscapes until like you get to the last one.
Your other option, you could get your girl.
No, I don't need more Graces. Grace is not going to start being particularly good at any point in time, as far as I can tell.
M4.
I would not. I don't think I've got her at M3 yet. I'm not sure. I don't think I do. It would be an M3. I don't think Grace is going to become good even at M6 though. Like I would rather have Rena built up.
Yeah.
At this point, I've got Rena at M1. So
Rena is almost certainly the correct choice, but Grace is the funny choice.
All right. Let's wrap up then, shall we?
All right.
All right.
We will see y'all next